Are we live? Is this thing on? Dan, as a Patriots fan, I gotta say I hate your fucking setup. You look stupid. You look silly. I hate your hat. I hate your jersey. I love you. I've missed you tremendously. Congratulations on the new dream house. Obviously, your background is in order, so you got to beat the odds in the background there. Shout out to NFLDFSPICKS, finally back with us after buying or getting into his dream house just because we've just been rolling our NFL bets this year. And shout out to Sleezball, my co-host with the most. Good to see you. You just hit 4K on YouTube. Congratulations. I want to take a moment to congratulate you properly, because since knowing you, you haven't just been a good, loyal friend to me, but you've also been somebody who's led by example by overcoming some of the worst adversity a man can go through. So as a man, watching you overcome that and crush your challenges and everything, man, it's incredible to see you reap the reward. So I'm very, very happy for you. I'm very proud of you, and I'm glad that I've been part of this journey. Just don't forget us, and also don't forget the Puka Nakua bet.
Let's settle this now.
I'll never let you forget that. So before we get
that, was it 10?
It was 10. Before we get going into our show, guys, we're going to go over every single game that's left on the board. We're not really going to do a recap. I mean, we could talk about the recap, but we're going to go through every single game, talk about start sits, answer all of your questions in between. We are live simultaneously on both YouTube and X. So if you guys are watching us on X, please hop on over to the Big Draft Energy YouTube channel. It really helps us out a heck of a lot. But yeah, let's catch up with the chat, and then we'll get into our first game. Colby and the Cattle Dogs, that's the wife, she says first. Have an amazing show. I'll be here in spirit. Love you all. Had a great holiday weekend. Hit that like and sub. Isn't he an Ohio guy? Second, loves you, says James Saw. James, we love you too, buddy. God bless you. Third, let's roll from Sleezimus Decimus Meridius. Knifey Spoony fifth, because I can count hurt. Somewhere in the top 10 because we accrue points like NASCAR. I still don't know how NASCAR works. Let's go, says Dustin. Good to see you, Dustin. Man, we got some locks. Last, says Saul. I hope not. I hope we Sleeves with the 10 gifted. Let's go. A bet's a bet, and you paid up. Charlie, what up, fellas? Good to see you, Charlie. Thank you for tuning in. All right, guys. You guys ready for the first game on the slate? I will introduce it.
What's crazy about that bet is when you were telling me I was wrong, you're like, I like it for 120. You know what he got?
117. Trust me. I know. I'm so fucking locked in. God. Yeah, I'm so locked in. I said my projections, I like him for 120. He had a 117. I'm so locked. Speaking of locked, we have a very interesting matchup for the first game that we're talking about. We got the Arizona Cardinals, who are 3.5 favorites coming dogs actually coming into Minnesota. It's weird that they're the underdogs. The over-under is 45.0. Game kicks off at 1 in Minnesota. So we'll start with you, Sleaze. What you like about this game, what you dislike about this game. We'll talk about locks and bets at the end.
This is like the last ride or die for me right here with Marvin Harrison Jr. I mean, if he can't get 50.5 yards, and now it's up to 51.5, that has to be one of my absolute locks. They give up the most yards per game to the wide receiver at 188.6. You just saw Caleb Williams bomb 260, 270 on him. I don't know the exact number. It's just off the top of my head. And they can't stop it. And I know Kyler's struggling, but he's been a roller coaster. And once you have a down, it's coming back up. I like Kyler's passing yards and his rushing yards combined, especially with the rate that the Minnesota defense blitzes at. So when they come, when they bring the blitz in, he's going to step up, probably get more rushing yards than that. So I love his rushing yards at 24.5 as well. And Aaron Jones, I was completely wrong about him last week. He played like 12 snaps the week before, didn't get hurt, and then he comes out and plays 25 touches. So I like his 65.5 as well. I'm not touching James Conner after the 7 carries for 8 yards. I know he just got his extension. Congrats to him. Sucks for the Trey Benson people. And it's got to be Justin Jefferson time, right? This guy's been too quiet for too long. I like his 83. I like his longest. I like everything for Jefferson. I think he's going to pop. And Trey McBride's my tight end 1, but I don't think he's going to get the 60.5. I think he's going to do it in the red zone with touchdowns.
I like that. I like that a lot.
He's going to get his first touchdown of the season.
I mean, we've said that for what, 4 shows in a row.
Man, it's
even on the
crazy
bye week, we said he was going to get a fucking touchdown. Go ahead, Dan. What do you like about this game? What do you dislike?
Well, who doesn't love what TJ Hawkinson's been doing first and foremost?
Me.
I mean, this guy's a top 5 tight end in the league, and he quickly reestablished himself as that. He doesn't show up in my matchups as the best matchup this week, but one thing you can't ignore is what they're doing with him.
Your ADD's put you in the matrix, Dan.
You gotta get rid of that background, dude. Yeah, it got rid of you. Oh, you're good. You're good. Keep going.
But you can't be bobbing and weaving on a green screen. It'll take you out.
My first time on the green screen. So, I agree with Sleez. Like, one of the Cardinals receivers has to step up here. I mean, it's just imperative. I don't know who to trust. If you really want to get into specifics, Minnesota is giving up the 3rd most fantasy points per game to the slot receiver. And I think Dortch and Wilson are kind of sharing that role a little bit, even though Wilson's a big guy. He is lining up in the slot. I'm leaning a little bit more towards Dortch, but they don't have him on here. So Wilson's something I'd consider. Somebody's got to stand out here for the Cardinals receivers, and I'm beginning to trust nobody. And they have a phenomenal matchup, and it's just a tough situation for bettors because we really don't have anybody we can trust. And what we really want is like minimize risk. And how are you going to minimize risk with a team that you can't trust anybody with? That being said, Aaron Jones, I love him this week. The matchups shade a little more towards receiving than rushing. So I love his 18.5 receiving yards. He's been very involved as a pass receiver his whole career. And I love Kyler Murray's rushing yards versus blitz-heavy front. I think he's going to be running. He's going to be looking like Mighty Mouse back there, running around for his life all game long is my prediction. So I think 24.5 rushing yards probably going to be hit by the first quarter or halftime. I love his longest rush, 11.5 yards too. He's probably going to have 7-8 carries this game. I don't know who to pick as the winner. I think this is a really good matchup, and I think it's going to be a fun game to watch.
Heard. So I'll go now. I'm going to push back on several points. One, if we're talking about the slot receiver and where the opportunity goes, that's going to go right to Trey McBride, in my humble opinion. I think
line him in the slot.
I think he's going to eat that because, like, if we're talking about ability versus just position-wise, it has to be Trey McBride because he's earned the targets. He's going to continue to earn the targets and see the targets. And if we're looking at what Minnesota has allowed, they haven't really allowed a lot of production to tight ends. They've allowed a couple of tight end 1 weeks, but if we're talking about production in general, like on the season, they're 9th, allowing 10.66 fantasy points per game. On the last 4 weeks, they're 9th, allowing 10.45 fantasy points per week. On the last 2 weeks, they're 12th. They allow 10.25 fantasy points per week. So where Trey McBride's going to get the upper hand because the matchup isn't as tasty as we'd like it to be is the slot position and the advantage that he has there. There's more advantages here. Like if we're talking about on the season, the Vikings are one of the most advantageous defenses to take advantage for fantasy points to opposing wide receivers. And even in the last 2 weeks, they haven't had like the best matchups to go against. Like they got torched by the Tennessee Titans, who isn't the best passing team in football. And please, I know what you're going to say, and I got to push back for later on that. And they against the Chicago Bears. So like they're giving up a lot of production to the wide receiver position. I think Marvin Harrison Jr. has a day. And I'm avoiding both running backs. They're both on must sits for me this week. If we're looking at so schedule wise, the Cardinals went against the Bears, a decent running team with DeAndre Swift and Roschon Johnson. The Jets, a very decent running team, and they've produced in the last few weeks.
Check your private chat. Is that your wife's right? All right, I got you. I got my wife and friends over.
Okay. And then there's the bye week, and then the Seahawks, Kenneth Walker. And they've given up almost no production rushing the last 4 weeks, and they've given up no production pretty much all year to opposing running backs. So I'm completely out on Aaron Jones. I absolutely hate him this week. I'm completely out on James Conner this week because the Vikings just don't allow production. I'm invested in Trey McBride. I'm kind of invested in Kyler Murray, but not very bullish on him. And I'm invested in Marvin Harrison Jr., not for a touchdown, but for a lot of volume and receptions and receiving yards. And I'm 100% invested in Justin Jefferson, not necessarily Jordan Addison. So those are the guys who I'm absolutely like starting. And then I'll tell you guys what props I like later on. But good to close that one out. Let's catch up with the chat before we go to the next game.
I got one question for you. How many times have the Minnesota Vikings given up a tight end one on the season this year?
Twice.
Kittle and
Kraft. Yeah. And both of those guys, like, they gave up the volume because the production to the slot receiver was there, and their slot receiver wasn't really doing much. So that's why I like Trey McBride as my tight end one on the week this week, as well. So let's catch up with the chat. We got a lot of chats. Charlie says, "What's up, fellas?" We got that one. Where will Ashton Genty fall in fantasy drafts next year? I mean, I'm sure people are going to pay similar price to Bijan Robinson his rookie year and Jahmyr Gibbs their rookie year. I want to say late round 1, early round 2, but it all depends on the landing spot. Hawkinson over 40.5 receiving yards. I don't think I like that. Staying away from Arizona rushing props as Minnesota has. Yep, agreed 100%. Smashing the under on everyone in this game. I have a weird feeling it's going to be a defensive. I agree with the Sleaze. I love Kyler Murray's passing yards, but I don't like the passing touchdown upside. Good evening, says Tootsie Pop. Good to see you. How you doing? I need J. Jeff to pop for my fantasy life. CD for sure to help. Good luck, Call Saul. Speaking of Hawk, would you flex him or Bateman? I'm definitely not flexing Hawkinson. And I mean, Bateman could be a decent flex option, especially with Darius Slay being out for the week. Everyone's number one player at the position. We'll get to that later on, Magic, for sure. Darnold over 1.5 passing touchdowns, hit that in 4 of his last 5 games. True. Yo, what's up, Bandit Locks? What's up, Bandit? Don't worry, Daddy's here. What's up, Hot Take City? We're all caught up. Okay. McBride needs to score some touchdown to be a tight end one. Kyler. I think the volume's too opportunity, but good to see you, Knifey. Thank you for popping in and tuning in. All right, next game, guys. We got the Houston Texans. They are 3.5-point favorites, only 3.5-point favorites against the Jacksonville Jaguars. The over-under is 44.0. Obviously, the Jags are coming off of a bye, and obviously, like we called, CJ Stroud is running for his life, and he's not very capable of running for his life or being productive as a fantasy quarterback at that point. Tank Dell has been a complete and utter disappointment, but there are a lot of advantages here. We'll start with Sleaze. Give us your breakdown on this game. What do you like? What do you dislike?
So, question: are we going back to like our favorite picks after, or are we doing it during the game?
We'll go after. Like, do the pick'ems after. Just give me like players you like, players you're absolutely fading. And like more of a fantasy football thing, and then we'll do the props at the end.
Okay, so this is my fantasy football pot of gold as the Jacksonville Jaguars defense. Yeah. But in this game, I am going to say that CJ Stroud is going to be under. He's been struggling. I think they're going to. I love Nico Collins. He's my wide receiver 1. I just don't see him getting to 260 with the game script. I don't think Jacksonville is going to keep up. I think it's going to be a heavy dose of Joe Mixon. Yep. I love all of his props. Longest rush, 82.5. I'm going to stay away from the receiving on him. I don't want to touch the running backs ETN or Tank Bigsby at all in this game. Houston's good versus the run, although they got gashed by Pollard. I really like Brian Thomas Jr.'s longest because they get gashed by deep plays a lot. And I think Brian Thomas is going to be a smash play this week as well, too. Tank Dell's longest kind of interests me. Nico Collins' longest in 28. That's deep, though. His 86 is interesting, but that's high. And if I had to look at anything else that I would say I like in this game, it would probably be maybe Trevor Lawrence's rushing yards or CJ Stroud's rushing yards, because they're both low at 10 and 13.
Heard. What is that sound? Yeah, Dan, are you DJing there, man? It sounds like you're doing like a little DJ thing.
It's definitely not me, I don't think.
Okay. You're up, buddy. What do you like?
I'm just sitting here in this room all by myself with the door shut. So I think that this is just a super fun game for betting purposes and to watch. I'm real excited about this game. Trevor Lawrence is going to be back. I think Brian Thomas Jr. has a phenomenal matchup. I have him popping in everything. I love his yards. I love his receptions. I love his longest reception. I love him for a touchdown. That'd probably be my number one player on Jacksonville this week, BTJ. Joe Mixon's set up to absolutely smash this week. Love everything Joe Mixon related. I have here in my research. I love his rush yards, touchdown, receptions, reception yards, and long reception. So he's probably number one running back on the week. I'm staying away from the Jacksonville backfield completely. If I was going to do anything here, I'd go under Tank Bigsby, 37.5 rushing yards. I think this is Etienne's job again, and I don't see Bigsby getting, 9-10 carries this week in this game script. Nico Collins is, you guys know my love affair with Nico. I mean, this is the best matchup he's had all year. I believe this is the number one matchup on paper versus wide receiver for wide receivers is Jacksonville. I love Nico's everything. Just like I said before with the other guys, I have him for receptions, receiving yards, longest reception, and touchdown. So those are props I'm going to put in for him. Hard to ignore Tank Dell when you got a matchup that's so juicy like Nico. One thing I know is if you have two capable receivers, it's not always a good idea to put all your eggs in one basket. Both these guys are good enough to be the guy that pops off. So I'm probably not going to put them in the same bets, but I'll alternate Tank into some bets that I don't have Nico in, and I'm going to lean into those real hard. And Evan Ingram, I think this is a good spot for him. I know that Houston's been tough against tight ends all year long, but they have been giving up some long catches. I love his longest reception in this matchup. I think Evan Ingram is going to be a focal point for Lawrence in this game and the rest of the season. I'm not really that scared of any poor matchup at all for Evan Ingram moving forward for the rest of the year. And I wish I had Fairbairn on here because the guy's a lock for some field goals in this game.
Heard. I will say this. Not only do I love the splits for Evan Ingram with Christian Kirk out because he's an absolute smash play when Christian Kirk's out and Trevor Lawrence is healthy. Mind you, a healthy Trevor Lawrence has been something we haven't seen. So yeah, 47.5 receiving yards. I love for Evan Ingram, and I have him as a smash start. I believe I have him as my tight end 3 on the week, and we've been very accurate with our tight ends. The not just the entire season, but in particular the last couple of weeks. So yeah, I'm very bullish on that. I will say this: if we're looking at who the Texans have played the last 2 weeks, the Cowboys with Cooper Rush at the starting quarterback and the Titans with Will Levis at the starting quarterback, their defense has gotten absolutely fucking obliterated by opposing tight ends and opposing wide receivers in those last 2 weeks. So when I'm looking at Brian Thomas Jr. and I'm looking at Evan Ingram, they need to be the best sleeper plays in every DFS slate. Like your drafters, your owner's box, make sure you use promo code DISCO, double your initial deposit. They need, like, those guys are the best sleepers at their position and the most tertiary options that you could possibly get with a smash upside. I love BTJ. I absolutely love Evan Ingram this week. I think they're smash starts. I think BTJ has a top 10 ceiling. Evan Ingram has a tight end 1 ceiling, despite what we saw Brock Bowers do yesterday. And yes, Brock Bowers was my tight end 3. So with that being said, I don't disagree with what the rest of the panel said about, just start pretty much everybody like Tank Dell. I like his longest reception and his receiving yards. I like Nico Collins. Joe Mixon is a lock for top 3 RB this week. Pretty much it's like if an RB is going against Jacksonville or now the New York Giants or Carolina Panthers, start them. They're going to smash for sure. All right, let's look at the chat. And then we'll go into the next game. We'll go with this one here. Oh, this is a nice close-up. All right. Robitussin. All right, we got a dad joke from Andrew Nordmeyer. He says, "What weighs more, a gallon of water or a gallon of butane?" The water, butane is a lighter fluid. Get it? Because you like. Why not so high on Hawk or Jones? It's just a bad matchup. It really is just a bad matchup for both of them. I like Justin Jefferson because if we're talking about where Arizona does give up a lot of production, just this season and the last 4 weeks, it's chunk plays to the wide receiver one. So I really like him there. And Hawkinson's a major avoid because like there has been no production for tight ends against the Arizona Cardinals at all this year, at all. So yeah, it's a major avoid for me. I'm definitely avoiding. And then yeah, it's just a tough running game for Aaron Jones there. Y'all. Also, I think Genty goes higher because this year we've seen what elite backs do for an offense. Just my take. I'm just gonna find running backs in the offseason who find new homes, good, decent, like Najee Harris. If he finds a new home, drafted him everywhere. I smashed on everything Jacks this weekend in the rushing. Genty will be first RB taken in fantasy drafts. That's ridiculous, Mr. Magic. My 3.5 says that thinks Jacksonville hangs around 100%. T-Law has only like Houston Texans are frauds. Like they cannot block worth a damn, like we called. So that's why I avoided CJ Stroud. I think he has a great matchup this week, but do I think he's going to play up to that matchup? No, because like we saw better offenses struggle against this Jacksonville defense, and it's absolutely insane. You said that. Isaac, he says, hey, pick one full PPR flex, Gus Edwards, Taysom Hill, or Kate Otten. It's between Kate Otten and Taysom Hill. Gus Edwards, I'd have to see it to believe it. I'm higher on Kamani Vidal than I am on Gus Bus. I think Gus Bus is going to get 12 to 15 touches, but I don't really think he's going to he's a non-threat as a receiver. And then if we're also talking about, he's just old now and the wheels on the bus have damn near fallen off. I'm much more bullish on Kamani Vidal. It's a wait and see situation for me. I'm not starting Gus Edwards, especially if all 16 teams are playing this week. Hope that answers your question, boss. You guys ready for the next game?
Yes, sir.
All right. Drew Markham says rest of season full PPR, Mike Evans or Terry McLaurin. I'm going Mike Evans. What do you guys think? Rest of season, Mike Evans or Terry McLaurin?
Evans.
Yeah, I'm going.
I'd like to throw in, that was a great point you brought up. The Houston Texans defense versus the tight end was top 5 in the past 4 weeks. Now they're 25.
Yeah.
They've been getting crushed by the tight end.
Yeah. So Evan, and nothing gets past me. Wait, why is okay? I'm gonna delete this one. All right, we got the next game, which is the Indianapolis Colts, who are 2.5 point favorites coming into New England. The over/under is 42.5. Kickoff is at 1 p.m. Eastern time. Since it's my team, I'll talk about it first, if that's all right with you guys, because I don't know who to let go first with your San Francisco 49ers, Sleaze, and NFL DFS picks, Dan's Buffalo Bills. So I will say I like the Patriots to win this game. Because I just like the Patriots to win this game in general. If we're looking at like the Indianapolis Colts schedule, the last 4 games that they've played, 3 of them have been like absolutely fucking impossible games, and they've played up to par. They played the Vikings and they competed with the Vikings. They played the Bills. They kind of competed with the Bills. They played the Jets. We all know how Anthony Richardson's first game back, he walloped the Jets. And they play the Lions. The one common denominator is they give up a lot of production to opposing running backs. I think Demario Douglas's props for longest reception is great. Do I love Demario Douglas as a start this week? No. Demario Douglas, I'm not liking as a start this week. I'm not high on Demario Douglas. If we're talking about players I'm high on in this matchup, Jonathan Taylor in a bounce-back situation. I like Jonathan Taylor to bounce back. I like Ramondre Stevenson to have a good outing and a bounce-back performance. And I like Michael Pittman a heck of a lot. I'm trying to get, as a tertiary stack, I'm trying to get as much Michael Pittman and Anthony Richardson humanly possible because the Patriots give up a heck of a lot of production to opposing quarterbacks when it comes to passing touchdowns and to wide receiver ones when it comes to receiving yards. And with no Josh Downs, it appears Josh Downs is out. I'm very, very bullish on Michael Pittman this week, and I'm even going to sprinkle in Alec Pierce as a great tertiary play. For the Patriots, it's Ramondre Stevenson. I'm not very bullish on Drake May this week. I'm not bullish on Demario Douglas or any of the other receiving threats. I will say Hunter Henry is also a good option. Dan, you're up.
Well, I think that without Josh Downs playing, this is going to be a very easy pass offense to defend. And I think Christian Gonzalez is more than up for the task to completely shut Pittman down, in my opinion. I think he'll travel with him. I think he'll be on him every snap. And I don't see a real high likelihood of Pittman having his second or third good game this entire season versus a corner that's that good. First I was thinking about taking this 14.5 completions for Anthony Richardson.
Yeah, love that.
But I mean, it's just so low, but I could see it not hitting. Like, who's he going to throw it to? Jonathan Taylor twice, might complete a couple passes to Pittman, maybe complete a prayer to the white receiver.
Alec Pierce.
Maybe complete a prayer to Alec Pierce. He doesn't throw to tight ends. I can't come up with an enactment of this game in my head where he actually completes 15 passes. I think it's smart where they have it. I love Drake May's passing yards. 220 is low. I think that they're going to need him to win this game. I think Jonathan Taylor runs wild here. I think they feed him. They lean into him. Patriots have really been struggling versus running backs as of late. Same with the Colts, though. The Colts really are a good team for a matchup for running back, and I love Ramondre Stevenson in this game. I got Taylor for his yards. I got Stevenson here for yards, a touchdown, his receptions, and his receiving yards in my notes. So, pick something, and I feel good about the rushing yards or the receptions being at 2.5. Pop Douglas, if Drake May has a chance to throw in for 220, Pop Douglas has got a real good chance of getting 40 of it. I wish that was rush plus receiving combo. I'd smash that for sure. But I can't picture Drake May getting 220 yards without Demario Douglas getting 40 of them. I'm not trusting this Keyshawn Boot yet. I got to see a little more from him. Kendrick Bourne seems like he's stepping into a pretty good role, but I don't trust him. Hunter Henry's got a great matchup this week. He's popping in my research, but I don't really love any of these props. I feel like they're in good spots. I don't know if I want to hit over on any of them. I think maybe they're just right where they're supposed to be. I could see him catching 4 or 5 balls for 45 yards. And one thing that's standing out to me is Joey Sly, 6.5 kicker points. That's as low as Drafters puts out there. I've never seen 6 or 5.5 before. I don't know.
I've seen 5. I've seen 5.5.
5.5 was Carlson last night.
Yeah,
Carlson. So, I mean, I had Sly for more than 1.5 field goals. So 6.5 kicker points feels like free money to me. If I was going to say I like one thing in this game, I think I'd like Sly with over 6.5 kicker points.
I can't see the Patriots and Colts props here on Drafters for some reason.
Just refresh. I refreshed it.
Is it the third or fourth game up?
It was blank for me too. I had to refresh. It's the third game.
Okay, yeah. So I had it in the right order. Okay, cool. Sleaze, you're up.
So I gotta agree with Dan on that one. I don't think it's gonna be much of anything for the Colts going. And I like that you brought this tweet up right here. This is Christian Gonzalez, just absolute lockdown. So this is why I'm enamored with Jonathan Taylor this week, because you're not gonna have your go-to guy in Josh Downs. They're going to have to lean on Jonathan Taylor, and it's an outlier. He is a 96% running back out there. He never misses a snap, and they give up 117 yards rushing a game. And if I'm looking at 79.5, I think that's an absolute lock for him in a game where Josh Downs is out. and a team that struggles. And then when I'm looking at Ramondre Stevenson, I think this is one of the biggest outliers because the Colts do the same thing. They give up 116.6 rushing, and they have him at 50 because last game was atrocious for him in every single way. But still, this matchup is too good for him. I like that one a lot. And that tweet is leading me towards Adonai Mitchell in this game. I think Adonai Mitchell is going to have his breakout game here as a rookie. 37.5 yards seems super low. I think Michael Pittman is going to get shouted all over by Gonzalez. I like Demario Douglas as well. I agree with Dan there. If anything, I'm taking the Michael Pittman under because if you're just looking at that right there, he's only allowed 320 yards in 12 games. So if you're doing the math on that, that's under 25 yards a game almost. So it's like 27 yards. So if I'm looking at Pittman at 51.5, I think that's one I like as well. I really like Hunter Henry in this game, but I think his props are right on cue because the Patriots give up, like 5 targets to the tight end game or 5 receptions, about 50 yards. So all that's even. And I don't want to touch Boutte. I don't want to touch Kendrick Bourne. I don't trust him. I agree with Dan there. And then there's always Drake Mays rushing. This guy can get that every single game in one play. So, the 29.5 is interesting. And same with Anthony Richardson's rushing as well, especially when you got no downs. So those two are interesting to me, but my lock would be JT and Stevenson's rushing.
Heard. Might I say, if we're looking at and talking about outliers, right? If you're looking at the Indianapolis,
George, that's good, George.
Thank you, George. If we're looking at the last 4 weeks, the Indianapolis Colts have given up the 3rd most receptions to opposing running backs at 23 receptions. The last 2 weeks, they've given up the most receptions to opposing running backs at 13 receptions. And right now, Ramondre Stevenson is currently hanging out at 2.5 receptions for his prop. I think that's as much of an outlier as we could possibly find on a weekly basis. I do like his rushing yards. I agree with you guys, but his receptions is something I'm way more interested in. And
over the 70-point difference in yards from 120 to 50?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because
there's more Antonio Gibson.
Okay, so here, let me give you the breakdown. Okay, so if we're talking about rushing yards, the Colts have actually gotten significantly better the last few weeks. Significantly better. They're not giving up a lot of yards. Last 2 weeks, yeah, they gave up some chunk plays, but you got to look at the teams and the offensive lines that they've gone against. All right, so if we're looking at the Indianapolis Colts, the last 2 weeks they played the Jets, which is a good O-line and a very
had a day with them.
Yeah, and it's a good O-line and one of the best running backs in football. And then the Detroit Lions. So, yeah, you're going to get fucking torched by those guys. But the Buffalo Bills didn't really get a lot of yardage. They got the touchdown equity, but they didn't get a lot of yardage. And if we're talking about the Vikings did almost diddly on the ground against Indianapolis, if I recall. So it's not that they're bad. It's that they've gone against some of the best running games in football. So, yeah, I'm not going to sit here and say I don't have any tickets or cards with that being an outlier. I have a 73% probability that the 50.5 is an absolute smash, which, like, anything over 55%, I'm betting on it, right? Because that's just what I do. But the 2.5 receptions, I have that at a 98%.
I'll rock with it.
Yeah, so either or, both of them are great plays. I'm going to stagger because I like both of them so much. I'm going to stagger one or the other with a bunch of other locks that I do like. All right, let's catch up with the chat before we go.
Do you think it's a game the Patriots can get ahead and they won't need to pass as much, or do you think it's a game they've been playing from behind a lot? That's why those running back receptions are going up.
Yeah, I would say that this game is going to be the Colts are going to absolutely dominate the New England Patriots because we're going to see Jonathan Taylor go nuclear. I wouldn't be shocked. I really wouldn't be shocked if Jonathan Taylor had one rush for over 80 yards. Because he always seems
he goes nuts.
Like his longest rush is absolutely free in this game. Every time he plays in the Patriots, he always goes off for like 120. He's my RB4 on the week. I'm very bullish on Jonathan Taylor. I also love him for an anytime touchdown. All right, let's catch up with the chat. Charlie, to Drew's question earlier, and shout out to Drew. He says Mike Evans 100%. Shout out to Charlie. Yo says Tip from X. Tip, come on over to the YouTube channel. Shout out to Tip Major. Shout out to the Sports Affiliation. Great folks over there. And happy belated birthday to the legend and Hall of Famer Greg Kellogg. Love you, buddy. You are the best. Rami Hyder says London Hopefully I pronounced it properly. London, Evans, Connor, Aaron Jones, BTJ, half PPR, pick 2 to start, 1 to flex. I love Drake London in his matchup this week, and we're about to talk about that game, so I'm going with him. I like Aaron Jones in his matchup this week. I'm sorry, Mike Evans in his matchup this week, and Brian Thomas Jr. in his matchup this week. I'm fading both Aaron Jones and James Conner in this question. Do you guys have anything different there?
And I like BTJ a lot too.
You love him. Love him.
I might like BTJ more than Drake London.
Yeah. And Andrew Nordmeyer says, I would go under on Anthony Richardson completions. I respect it. George Troyan, and thank you for the $10 holler, buddy. Appreciate you. He $10 holler. He says Jaden Daniels or Joe Burrow. They're both top 5, top 10 quarterbacks for me this week. So I really do like both of them. I think Daniels gives you a higher upside with his rushing equity, and he is going to have to rush a heck of a lot this week. So I would lean Jaden Daniels, but like Joe Burrow's been QB2 on the entire year. You can't go wrong with either one of them. I think the only thing that you need to be concerned of is Joe Burrow's going against a really tough pass rush. But with that being said, their team is built to throw the ball against because they can't play defense. So the game script is going to be very favorable for Joe Burrow. Jaden Daniels has that injury risk. So just one thing to consider. And once again, guys, we always prioritize the super chats. It just means that you're invested in us. So we have to invest back in you. So George with another question. He says, pick 1 flex, Debo, Juan Jennings, Evan Ingram, Douglas, Leggett, waiver wire availables, Mitchell, or I'm going to go Evan Ingram. I think Evan Ingram has the safest floor and the highest ceiling out of all those folks there. Hopefully that answers your question, buddy. And did you say it was PPR or not? No, he didn't. If it's PPR for sure, like Evan Ingram, the volume's going to be there. I appreciate you guys. We appreciate you too, Rami. Thank you for supporting Disco Ball Nation, guys. We got 104 people tuning in. And that is 85 people on Twitter. We are live on YouTube, and it really does help us out when you guys come over to YouTube. Just type in Big Draft Energy in YouTube, click the subscribe button. It's completely free. Like the video, goes a really long way for us, guys. It allows us to help you guys out a little bit better, especially since we have all the questions and all, everything just in one spot. So please come on over to the YouTube channel. Would mean a lot. All right, you guys ready for the next game?
All right.
All right, we got the LA Chargers against who are only 1 point favorites against the Atlanta Falcons coming off of a bye, and prior to that bye, they got absolutely slammed by the Detroit Lions. The over/under is 47.5. Very interesting. I will go and ask Dan. You go first. Give me Dan. So let me ask you a question, right? A lot of people are very bullish on Bijan Robinson this week, including myself. Why should I be bullish on Bijan Robinson, or why shouldn't I be bullish on Bijan Robinson this week?
Well, from what my research shows is the Chargers are a pass funnel. They don't allow a lot of runs. However, they allow a really high yards per carry, and Bijan is a home run threat. So I think he fits this well, and they get a lot of receptions given up to running backs, and Bijan's the guy that gets the reception. So while you may not think that Bijan's in a situation where he's going to get 20 carries, which he's barely ever in anyway, I think everything else sets up real good for him.
I like that. And if we're also looking at the rushing yardage, last 4 weeks, the Chargers defense has given up 424 yards. That's
Khalil Mack is back this week.
Who?
Khalil Mack is back this week.
Yeah, but I mean, like, he's more of a pass rush threat. Yes, he could set the edge as a.
Well, their rushing numbers have dipped bad since he's been out.
Yeah, and then the last 2 weeks, it's been the third most advantageous matchup. So I think the rushing yards equity is there. The touchdown equity is also there. They've given up 1 on the floor in the last 2 weeks and 3 in the last 4 weeks. So yeah, it's definitely an advantageous matchup for sure. All right, Dan, give me 2. Give me 1 lock from each side here, and then we'll head over to Sleaze.
I love Justin Herbert in this matchup. I think 1.5 passing touchdowns is a lock. That would be my 1 lock. Love everything Herbert related. And then, as far as longest reception goes, Darnell Mooney and Drake London are both great plays. Mooney's just been smashing it all year. I love Darnell Mooney for his longest reception being as low as 20.5.
Now I'll ask you this because like Debros put up an excellent tweet saying that Mooney against too high has absolutely eaten, and he's gotten 25% more target share. Now, everything on paper, and especially with what Debros said in the tweet, means that Darnell Mooney should be a smash. But are you worried about his Achilles injury?
About to buy? No.
You know what? I don't know a lot about it. I haven't spent very much time researching how scary that is, and I'm glad you brought that up because those are some of the little things that you can miss real easy.
Yeah, I'd be more inclined to look at Ray McLeod because like he has been performing relatively well every single week. 30.5 receiving yards seems very doable, and 15.5 longest reception. His average depth of reception and target is right along that range. So Ray McLeod over 15.5 longest reception might be one of my favorite locks.
The Chargers give up the 7th most fantasy points to slot receivers in the league, with 14.1 fantasy points a game given up to slot receiver.
Yeah.
That's where Ray plays.
George says at Sleaze need a tiebreaker for the bye.
I don't know what that is.
Did you agree with Ingram?
Oh yeah, I agree with Ingram. Yeah.
Okay.
That's what he's talking about.
Okay. Sleaze, you're up.
So I like the breakdown. I would just push back a couple points. Both these defenses, these are two of the top best red zone defenses there is. So when you're looking at like the rushing yards, yeah, they do give up big attempt plays, but they only the Chargers give up a 20% chance of a touchdown a game, and the Atlanta Falcons are about a 30% chance a game when they get in the red zone. So I like the yards, but it's still kind of sketchy for me, especially with Khalil Mack back. So if there's a Cameron Dicker prop, I mean, you're absolutely smashing that. 7.5, he's my number one kicker on the week. And I like Kyle Pitts to get loose in this game. The Chargers give up the 5th or 6th. I don't want to quote it wrong. 5th, 6th, or 7th most targets across the middle in between the hashes. So I think Kyle Pitts is going to have a big game. That's why I have him on my smash play. And if Ladd McConkey had any reception prop, I'd love to smash that as well, because you're going to get the funnel of the Atlanta Falcons to give up so many targets to the wide receiver one. It's crazy. But I'm going to go away from that, and I'm going to say that Quentin Johnston is the one that has the big bounce back game here off all those drops. He's going to silence the critics. 37 yards seems really low against the Atlanta Falcons defense that is giving up. Let me pull it up here. They are giving up 157.1 yards to the wide receiver. I mean, it's risky because he could not play as much. If he drops one, he could be done. So that's, the hard part with him. I'm not touching Gus. I'm not touching Algier. Both these defenses are good. I like your call on Mooney. I don't trust him with the Achilles, although I saw Debro's tweet and I was looking at 51 yards. I was like, I still don't like that. If anything, it's the smash play for me is Herbert's rushing. He has been running like a crazy man lately in fantasy football. So, I mean, if you're looking at 11.5, he's crushed this
for his longest rush or for his total rushing yards. Which one do you like more?
Longest rush or rushing. I mean, he's got 29, 65, 32, 50 in 4 out of 5 games. And then when they played Cleveland, they had the game in hand, so he didn't really have to run that much.
Yeah.
So, and this is going to be a game where everything's on the line for both these teams. Playoff implications. If the Falcons lose again, they're going to be really worried about Kirk Cousins here because he's looked bad 2 games in a row. And you're going to hear insert the Penix from Disco. And I really only like Herbert's passing touchdowns or rushing. And I'd say Kyle Pitts' receiving yards because I think he's going to pop a long one, 18.5 longest. And then Cameron Dicker is my absolute lock at kicker.
Now, can I ask you guys a question? Because Atlanta, yes, they hemorrhage a lot of production, to opposing running backs and definitely to opposing wide receivers and quarterbacks. But their one strength is they're very good against the tight end position, other than the Taysom Hill situation, who isn't really a tight end. He's just
Mark Andrews popped on him last week.
Mark Andrews popped on who?
Chargers.
Yeah, I'm talking about the Falcons.
Oh,
Falcons
okay.
defense. Yeah. So the Falcons defense don't give up a lot of production two opposing tight ends on a weekly basis. Is Will Dissly still startable this week? Because, like, I will say this, right? Whatever, Justin Herbert threw to Lad McConkey, he caught. Whatever Justin Herbert threw to Will Dissly, he caught. Like, their targets and receptions are the same fucking number. Whereas Quentin Johnston, like you alluded to earlier, he had 5 targets, 0 receptions. One of them would have been a massive touchdown. He just absolutely, literally dropped the ball, literally and figuratively. It was absolutely horrible. I can't trust him this week. I have to see him do it for me to trust him. He is on my bounce back watch list, but like I also just I'm so sick to my stomach on how he played. So with that being said, off of that long tangent, is Will Dissly somebody that you guys trust this week in your fantasy football lineups, or is there any props that you'd like the over? I'm personally smashing the under on his receiving yards. Currently, his receiving yards is at 47.5. I think that's way too high. 41.5.
I don't trust it either. I gotta agree with you there. I mean, no, I don't like this week.
Something's telling me, I don't know why, but it's been telling me all week that this is a big Josh Palmer week. I just got this gut feeling, and I'm not a big gut feeling guy, but I can't ignore it. He's been getting the ball. He's been getting pass interfered with instead of being able to catch it. And I think he would come down with those balls where Quentin Johnson is getting less and less passes, and he's showing he's not going to come down with these balls. And I agree. I think Dissly is not a great start, and smashing the under at almost 50 yards seems too easy.
How about this? The Atlanta Falcons are 31st, giving up 11.2 kicker points a game. That's how good their defense is in the red zone.
I mean, like, Jalen Reagor is getting as much production as Josh Palmer. I don't know what that gut feeling in your stomach is. Maybe you had bad turkey, but I'm definitely off of fucking Josh Palmer.
Have you been watching the Chargers play, though?
He's been playing good.
He's been playing okay. 83% snaps. He's same amount of targets, same amount. Like, he's not doing anything with his opportunity. He's not a guy.
No, he drew like 2-3.
He's gonna take those Quentin Johnson reps. That's what's gonna happen.
I mean, I think Quentin Johnston's, like, the way Harbaugh is, he's gonna like his guys and trust his guys and give them an opportunity to redeem themselves. I think Quentin Johnston's the only one who's gonna get the Quentin Johnson reps. It's what he does with it. Joshua Palmer's, like, he's just a guy in that offense, and he's gonna continue to be just a guy in that offense. But I mean, I appreciate the pushback. I love when we disagree, because if everybody had the same cookie cutter takes, none of us would have the names that we currently have and establish ourselves and get the respect of our audiences. So I love that we disagree, because I want everybody to make each other better, and iron sharpens iron, right? All right, Rami says, if you had to start one between Connor and Aaron Jones, half PPR, which way would you lean? I would lean the James Conner side, just because the volume is going to be there. I think he's going to get a lot of touches and a lot of opportunity. What he does with it, I couldn't tell you. He could fall into the end zone. He might get a couple of receptions, get involved in the receiving game. I know we haven't really seen it much in the past, but I think if I had to trust one or the other between Aaron Jones and James Conner, I would lean James Conner this week. What do you guys think?
Aaron Jones all day.
Aaron Jones all day? All right.
All day. I got Aaron Jones for all kinds of good matchups, and James Conner for nothing this week. I got
James Conner has a super tough matchup.
I got Jones, looks good for rush yards, reception yards, and long reception. And I got James Conner with receptions. That's it.
I will give you one reason why I like James Conner a little bit more. The Minnesota Vikings middle linebacker, Pace, he's out, and he has been a tackling machine. He's been an absolute monster, and he's out this game, and I think that frees up James Conner a little bit more. So that's why I'm a little bit more bullish on James Conner than I want to say the rest of the field. But let you guys ready for the next game?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, fire away.
All right, next game we got the Pittsburgh Steelers, who are 3-point dogs. It's nice to see Cincinnati get the nod here, versus the Cincinnati Bengals. Don't know what's going on with
crazy. They got the spread, bro. That's nuts.
The over/under in that game, because I had an aneurysm typing it out, apparently, is 47.0. Games in Cincinnati. I will start by saying this: Chase Brown, do not bench him. whatever you do, don't bench him. If we're looking at what the Pittsburgh Steelers allow on a weekly basis, yes, they're good, but where they are weak, where they have been weak this entire season, is they give up the second highest production to outside zone rushing plays, and Chase Brown, 60% of his snaps to 70% of his snaps on a weekly basis are outside zone, inside zone. So the zone scheme is what Chase Brown does and what he does excellently. And the biggest weakness for the Pittsburgh Steelers is their zone run scheme. So with that being said, Chase Brown's rushing yards currently at 66.5. I have projected for 108 rushing yards to be specific. So I love the rushing yards on Chase Brown. I also like the longest rush at 14.5. If we're talking about what the Cincinnati Bengals allow, they allow a lot of production pretty much everywhere. Not necessarily the running game. They'll allow, touchdown equity, but not necessarily a lot of rushing yards because they're a funnel for passing yards. So George Pickens' longest reception at 29.5 is a little rich for me. I'm not betting on that one. I'm not. They went ridiculous on that one. But Jamar Chase, longest reception, 25.5. I like that a lot. I also like his 77.5 receiving yards. And I will say that I also like T. Higgins' longest reception as well. Jalen Warren, I'd like him more as a receiver. 10.5 yards for longest reception or 16.5 yards for receiving yards. Both of them I like as well. If I'm talking about somebody who's a must-sit for me in this week, it's Russell Wilson. I don't like Russell Wilson at all this week. I think this is a trap spot. He's thrown the ball less. I know he's thrown the ball less than 30 times, 27 to be exact. The last 4 out of 5 weeks.
No game doesn't count.
Yeah, but still, last 4 out of the 5 weeks. Yeah, I'm not bullish on Russell Wilson this week. I don't think he should be the quarterback. I think he had the team excited for the last little bit. George Pickens has been, up and down, but he's been more of an emotional roller coaster. So I'm fading Russell Wilson really hard this week, and I'm higher on Joe Burrow than a lot of the field. I want to say I love Joe Burrow this week and every other week, and he's my most owned quarterback in best ball. All right, Dan, you're up.
I think the Bengals are going to absolutely destroy Pittsburgh in this game.
I like it.
I do Pittsburgh talk radio. I've been on the radio with them, and I've been spending a lot of time on Pittsburgh, watching a lot of film and being prepared for the radio shows that I'm going on. And I'll tell you right now, I am not impressed with Russell Wilson at all. This guy sucks at football, and he's going to be the undoing of Pittsburgh Steelers this year. And it's going to start this week when they see him versus Joe Burrow. And it's going to be like the biggest mismatch you've ever seen in your entire life out there. Russell Wilson is going to look like a high school football quarterback compared to Joe Burrow. One thing Russell Wilson will do, though, in this game, which is an absolute guarantee in every game he ever plays in, is lead the team to a ton of field goal drives. So it's just a matter of how many field goals can Boswell kick before they can't kick a field goal anymore because it doesn't make sense. Does he get 3? Does he get 4 by halftime? Because by the start of the fourth quarter, they're going to be losing so bad, they're not going to kick another field goal. That's for sure.
So currently his prop is at 7.5 kicker points. You think he gets that at half?
I mean, he gets that every single game that Russell Wilson plays quarterback for. That's an absolute lock. I'd say that's probably the biggest lock in the entire NFL. Chris Boswell over 7.5 points in a Russell Wilson-led quarterback game.
I like that.
Pat Freiermuth has got a great matchup, but I don't trust him at all, only because Russell Wilson is his quarterback, and Russell Wilson is completely incapable of throwing the ball between the hashes still, and Pittsburgh's not rolling him out or doing anything to mitigate the incapability there. Pro Football Focus has T. Higgins as the second best matchup in the entire NFL at wide receiver. Their matchup advantage score for T. Higgins this week, 97.4. That's darn near 100. It is insanely huge advantage. So long story short, Joey Porter Jr. is good. Good enough to completely shut down Jamar Chase? No. But good enough to make Higgins get about 4 or 5 more targets than usual? Yeah, for sure. So I love T. Higgins this week. 70.5 receiving yards for him. Probably going to be in darn near every parlay I put in this week. I got T. Higgins as being the reason why Cincinnati destroys Pittsburgh. Maybe they can slow down Pickens. Maybe they can slow down Chase. But neither team can slow down a good second weapon. And Higgins is by far the best second weapon on the field tomorrow.
So how do you feel about Chase Brown this week?
Chase Brown, I mean, I love him. Like, they're going to be playing with the lead. They're going to be trying to run the clock down in the fourth quarter, I think. His matchup here, after doing all the research, leads me a little bit more towards the receiving side of things. Pittsburgh's been getting beat pretty bad is in receptions and receiving yards, and I love Chase Brown to have a touchdown. And I think that I'd probably lean towards Chase Brown's rush receiving combo when it comes to just doing a parlay outside of drafters.
Heard. And also, in the last 4 weeks, what team has given up the most touchdowns to opposing running backs rushing?
You know what? I have no idea. Who is it?
Pittsburgh Steelers. They've given up 6 in the last 4 weeks. So there's that.
My friend, who is the radio host in Pittsburgh, will be the first to tell you that the Steelers are very bad against great run teams, and he's not impressed with the run D, even though it is great on paper.
Yeah, I mean, it's a zone scheme that kills the 34 defense, but Alex Highsmith potentially coming back could change that.
Dude, they got a PI call at the one where King Henry got to walk one in. Come on. And saying that the Cincinnati Bengals are going to blow the Steelers out of the water is just crazy talk to me. This team has not lost a game by over 1 score all year long. This defense is too good. I don't buy that at all. It's going to be a close game. And I think
they're not going to be able to slow down Burrow.
We'll see. I like Russell Wilson's passing yards as my lock of this game 100%. Russell Wilson has thrown over this mark every single game except for the Washington game, which was an outlier. And then he had that bad game versus Baltimore, but he still was able to get his prop in that game. So he's been killing the passing yards. The Bengals also give up a ton. Their strength is the run D. So when you're looking at the Bengals, they give up 155.7, and they give up about 12.3 targets, which is bottom of the tier there too. So George Pickens is one of my favorite smash plays this week to go for 20-plus points. I'm even willing to take that long at 29.5. I think he can hit that. I like the 4.5 receptions. I like the 71.5. I don't want to touch Najee. I don't want to touch Jalen. And it's Chase Brown. I like the points you brought up, but you also saw Zach Taylor say that they're going to get Khalil Herbert more involved because they cannot be giving this guy that many touches. So that kind of worries me for the Chase Brown props, but I still love Chase Brown. He looks electric. I don't know if I want to touch the rushing. I do like the longest rush. And then Pat Freiermuth, I mean, his matchup is great. He got 50 yards last week in the snow. He only got 4 targets. I know it's risky with Russell Wilson throwing to the tight end. I think that was a snow game aberration. That's why kind of the tight end was the quick pass. And then Boswell kicking is always a lock. I agree with Dan there.
I will say this, like, I'm not really concerned about Russell Wilson being the reason that I don't like Pat Freiermuth. It's fucking Arthur Smith, man. Arthur Smithing. Always, it's always kills my vibe and upsets me. Before we frame out the next game, let's catch up with the chat. Bink King tuning in says, "Sup everyone, good to see you, Bink. Great work for a great week for player props. Heck yeah." Sleaze BD framed it well earlier. Coin flip between Burrow or Daniels. Who you got? It's still George. George was
Burrow.
On. You're going Burrow? Okay, Dan.
Oh, Burrow, man.
Tennessee's defense has been good, man.
Yeah.
Look, Burrow is playing the best fantasy quarterback in the elite. Who else is going to drop back 55, 60 times a game?
Cooper Rush.
Right. Cooper Rush doesn't have a healthy CD, you know. I mean,
he did it. He dropped back 55 times like 2 games ago. It's crazy.
Yeah. You know, and there's just nobody else that's putting that kind of weight on their quarterback's shoulders in the whole league. It's just not happening. It's not out there. No one's asking the quarterback.
Baker Mayfield.
Tua is, but he's throwing the ball 3 yards every play. So if you want to count Tua,
Baker Mayfield does not have one game with 55 attempts. He has 50. Close, yeah.
All right. So Goshen shares. Welcome to the stream. He says, "Good evening, gents. Carr or Herbert this week?" It's Justin Herbert. It's a no-brainer. I mean, yes, Derek Carr has been absolutely incredible, and yes, it's a very good matchup against the LA Rams. But also, I'm not there. All right. Next game, we got the Seattle Seahawks, who are 1-point favorites, coming in to New York against the New York Jets. The over-under is 42.0. Is this the game of? Is this a revenge game of all revenge games for Geno Smith? Because like the New York Jets and pretty much everybody else wrote him off. Is this the game he writes back, or does he not write back? Stay tuned and find out. Sleaze, you're up.
Oh man, it's super tough for me to judge this after last week with the Seattle Arizona game. I had that being a massive high scoring game, and it's one of those division stinkers where it was 20 points. So, and they held James Conner to 8 yards. And I'm looking at Breece Hall, seeing that Seattle gives up so many rushing yards, and Breece at 60 just seems absolutely free. But I'm kind of scared to take it with the injury he has going in. DK Metcalf, I'm kind of staying away from as well. And Jackson Smith and Jigba, this guy is just on an absolute run right now, and you got to ride the lightning with him. I would take any prop that he has. I mean, he's seen 30 targets over the past 3 games. He's averaging 130 yards. Yep.
Please, hold up.
Hold up. What did you just say? I'm going to need you to stand on business.
So, yes, the Jets have been hemorrhaging fantasy points and receiving yards to opposing wide receivers, but their one strength is that they are the 6th best team against opposing slot wideouts. Jackson Smith and Jigba lines up at the slot the vast majority of the time. DK Metcalf is healthy. Why is Jackson Smith and Jigba a smash start this week? Just because he's had a couple productive days the last couple of weeks. I'm out on Jackson Smith and Jigba this week, so I need you to stand on business as to why you like him against one of the best teams at defending the slot receiver.
So Jackson Smith and Jigba lines up the slot at a 37% rate. So they've been using him all over the place. Tyler Lockett is now back healthy in this game. And Jackson Smith and Jigba has been seeing 11 targets per game over the past 3. I don't care what the number is, what the defense is, how it's looking. He's becoming a superstar player now. He's a wide receiver 9 on the year right now. I mean, if I'm looking at even what's his receptions per game right now? 8 receptions if he's getting per game. I don't care if it's DJ Reed, Sauce Gardner. They haven't been what they've been all year long. They're not the superstar corners that we thought they were supposed to be coming in. The Jets are done. I'm done riding this train with them. I've said they're going to come back enough. I'm fucking done with them. And I think Jackson Smith and Jigba might be the wide receiver 1 in Seattle now.
Man, well, currently he's only at 54.5 receiving yards on drafters.
That's money.
And DK Metcalf is only at 56.5 receiving yards. So, I mean, if you are going to bet on one of them and stagger it, I think this is more of a DK Metcalf game. I still think he's Batman when he's healthy. And, you know, the games you guys want to sit DK, he usually goes for 180 yards, 2 touchdowns, and you don't want that on the bench. The same way we told you guys you don't want Tyreek Hill to have a productive game on your bench as well. So thank you. Great take. Anything else, Sleezball?
So, hang on. I got to look at this. Let me go like this. So, I want to go to the New York Jets defense. Hang on. ATS. What am I doing here? Okay. So, do you know how many times since week 4 the New York Jets defense has even been over 10 fantasy points?
It doesn't matter about the fantasy points. Like what it comes down to is,
well, they're not getting pressure. They're not getting turnovers. They're not getting
your production to the slot position, and that's what JSN plays the vast majority of the time, especially when all 3 wideouts are healthy. So,
I mean, they give up the least yards as well. I know, but this guy's too good right now. I'll take every prop.
Yeah, I don't hate that at all. Now let me ask you a question, and then Dan, after Sleaze answers, we'll put you up on the big screen. Devontae Adams, Garrett Wilson, what are we doing with these guys? Is it going to be either one of these guys this week? Can you play both of them in this matchup? It is a very advantageous matchup when we're talking about what Seattle allows to opposing wide receivers. How do you guys feel about Devontae Adams or Garrett Wilson? Are we in or are we out?
You have to start him, but I mean, you just had Indianapolis and Garrett Wilson did nothing. You had Arizona and Garrett Wilson did nothing, and Devontae Adams got a garbage time TD. I mean, Aaron Rodgers looks so slow in the pocket. All they got to do is send one extra blitzer, and it's like fucking nightmare. So,
there was like a 4-week stretch where Garrett Wilson was one of the most productive wide receivers in football, borderline wide receiver 1 in a 4-week stretch, and then shit hit the fan. So, is he somebody that's like, do you want to play the matchup game with him? Or
I'm starting them both if I have them. You have to. The matchup's too good.
Which one are you more bullish on this week?
I would say I mean, they got young, good corners. Woolen. Who's Woolen going to be on? Probably Tay.
I don't think they travel. I think it's more of a zone scheme anyways with McDonald.
Fuck, man. Give me Devontae Adams, I guess, for the touchdown upside. It's a 50-50 coin flip. But I'm starting Garrett Wilson. I'm starting Devontae Adams in different leagues.
Heard. Dan?
Seattle's like middle of the pack versus outside receivers, and they're the 6th worst defense versus the slot receivers. They give up 14.5 fantasy points a game to slot receiver. So that being said,
polar opposites of the New York Jets defense, where the Jets give up a lot of production to the wideouts, but no production. That's very interesting.
So, I mean, I think I have the whole Jets receiver situation figured out. I've watched every single one of their games, probably every single one of their snaps this year.
God bless you.
And it's been brutal. But that being said, this is what they do, okay? And this is definitely true. They try to win the game with Devontae Adams, and then when the game's over and they can't win it no more, Adams just checks out. He just stops giving effort, and Garrett Wilson now starts getting the passes. And I think Garrett Wilson has had maybe one meaningful catch all season long. And he's like wide receiver 12 or something overall right now. But I don't think that any of his catches ever mattered literally at all, besides that amazing touchdown catch that helped him win that game. Other than that, the guy's just a garbage time receiver. You can't count on him when the times are tough. When the defense softens up, he makes some catches, he gets some yards, but the guy just can't seem to do anything when the game is actually winnable. So I think that if they're getting beat badly, then the guy that's going to end up having the good stat line is Garrett Wilson. And if they have a chance to win the game, I think Wilson's kind of an afterthought to Rodgers, and he doesn't really look his way.
Last time the Jets played the Bills, the game was close, and Garrett Wilson balled out with 25 fantasy points, making crucial catches against your boys.
Heard.
Garrett Wilson had a good first quarter in that game. He had a good first quarter in that game.
He went for 107 and a touchdown.
I think he had 70 of it in the first quarter.
All right. Ben King says he leans the under in the Cincinnati versus Pittsburgh game. I respect that. Thank you, guys. Have room to stash RB, Vidal, or McNichols. Bro, both Austin Eckler and J.K. Dobbins are now on the IR. So I would personally lean on the guy who's going to get a little bit more volume without a sure-handed RB1 ahead of him. I'm going to go with Kamani Vidal. And I know it sounds like I'm talking about Isaiah Spiller 2.0. And I hate the fact that I'm fucking talking about this guy again, but it's definitely Vidal. He has more upside in that zone scheme offense with the explosive aspect there. Dustin says, any predictions on anytime TDs this week? I could start sprinkling in my anytime TD predictions for sure. I like DK Metcalf in this game, and I like Breece Hall. And it looks like Breece Hall is good to go. Shout out to Carbonated Soup. That's George. He asked another question. That was his question. The appreciate you doing that, buddy. Thank you so much. You're very generous. Charlie says, do we see MVS keeping up this production? Fuck, that's a hell of a question. Is this a Charlie I know? Anyways, Charlie, do I see MVS keeping up? Absolutely not. I don't fucking see it happening. I hate that it's happened. I hate that he has any sort of validation or ability right now. But I'm also a big New Orleans Saints hater, so I might have just lost a subscriber. God bless you. Agree. Done with the Jets. Yeah, I'm not. I think they still got something to play for. Like,
burn it down.
God bless him. Like Garrett Wilson in particular, one of the most talented wide receivers in football. You could easily say he has top 10 ability and talent. Just like the situation he's been in since he's been in the NFL has been fucking atrocious. EB20 says Sutton, Garrett Wilson, Jennings, or Mooney need one full PPR. Sorry if you answered this already. I didn't hear.
Garrett Wilson is wide receiver 6 right now, by the way.
Yeah, I'm going Garrett Wilson. I'm going G. Willie. I mean, you can't sit him. I think Mooney, I'm concerned with the Achilles. Yes, he's suited and booted, but the injury is up. Like the injury risk is too high. And Juan Jennings, that weather is going to be very interesting, and we'll definitely get to that game. Ben King says, "Do you like JSN to score Sleezball?"
Yep.
Okay.
I'm on the train now, man. I was on the breakout when it came out. I didn't expect it to be this good. He's out of control.
Wait, I didn't see Sutton there. Is it Sutton or Garrett Wilson? Because I'm not considering Jennings or Mooney this week.
Sutton's got a great matchup too.
Yeah,
Sutton's hard to sit right now.
Yeah.
Sutton looks great this week.
Yeah.
Okay.
Go Sutton over Wilson.
I'm still going Garrett Wilson. I'm still going Garrett Wilson, even though I really do like Cortland Sutton. I'm still going
Garrett Wilson and Cortland Sutton are like dead opposites. Garrett Wilson's the guy that gets all the targets and can't do shit with it. Sutton's the guy that does
just
so much
you always blast on Garrett Wilson.
So Garrett Wilson literally is the guy that has more targets than anybody ever and never has the production to match it.
He hasn't had any quarterback either.
He has 15.6 fantasy points per game. He's like the third or fourth most targets in the NFL.
Okay, so week 11, nowhere near the top 10 in terms of targets. Week 10, nowhere near the top 10 in terms of targets. Like, I don't know where you're coming out with the fact that like he's getting all these targets. Garrett Wilson's not like since Devontae Adams has come in. Garrett Wilson has suffered tremendously when it comes to targets, and so has Breece Hall because like it's just Aaron Rodgers fucking everything up there, being a big fucking diva. Like he
had that one game with like 25 targets, which blew his numbers up on average.
Garrett Wilson has 3 good games this season.
He had a 4-week stretch where he was wide receiver 1.
He has 3 good games this season.
Yeah, 30, 24, 30.
I'm riding with Garrett Wilson. You're riding with Cortland Sutton. I'm a Patriots fan. You're a Bills fan. We both hate them. Divisional rivals. Watching them suffer is very enjoyable. But I'm still going Garrett Wilson. Like the talent's the talent, and I'm not going to be a homer. And the rule number 1 on the big draft energy 10 draft commandments: do not be a homer. You're being an ultimate homer and a super big hater here.
I have been right about Garrett Wilson all along.
How many of these games will be impacted by weather? Great question, Ben King. Here's mine, right? Like last year, we saw a similar game twice with Buffalo where they had those major snow games. It's not necessarily the snow that I worry about because the snow could be more favorable for the offense as long as there's no wind, right? I'm seeing conflicting reports where it could be 30-mile-per-hour wind gusts or that the wind will die down. The wind and the snow are really falling on yesterday and today, and tomorrow is going to be more of a cleanup situation where there's not going to be a lot of wind. So like it really comes down to before the game, look at the wind. If there's a lot of wind, don't play anybody in these games, especially in Buffalo. If there's no wind, then everybody's fucking full go. That's what I'm paying attention to in the Buffalo and San Francisco game. And it sucks because I got a weird Bills fans next to me and a very upset and disappointed fucking 49ers fan under me. So yeah, let's keep on keeping on to the next game. We got the Tennessee Titans, who are 6-point dogs. 6-point dogs coming into Washington. The over-under is 44.5. Game kicks off at 1 p.m. Eastern time. I'll start by saying Terry McLaurin has only had 1 game with 10 targets. I'd love for that number to fucking increase. If Terry McLaurin can get any sort of target share. Like, it would make me so fucking happy. And then Calvin Ridley, the last 2 weeks, he hasn't really been getting the targets that you've been raving about, Sleaze. He's had 6 targets each of the last 2 weeks, 12 total. Talk to me, man. What do you like in this game? What do you dislike in this game? Are we still high on the Calvin Ridley train?
I like Calvin Ridley. Marshawn Lattimore is ruled out for the game, or he's doubtful, so it's pretty much out, which is the upgrade they're looking for at corner. Calvin Ridley's yardage right now is at 61.5. I think this guy's covered that in almost every single game except for one in the past since DeAndre Hopkins has been gone in week 8. So the only game he didn't cover it was Minnesota, which that should have been a smash game, but he had a bunch of drops in that game, or a bunch of deep balls missed. Calvin Ridley is one of my absolute favorite plays this week, for sure. When I'm looking at this game, though, I really hate a lot of this game. I know Ladarius Sneed's still on IR. I don't even know if he wants to play for the Titans anymore. I mean, they're very good versus the tight end. I don't like Zach Ertz either. The Tennessee defense has been showing up. I'm not touching Noah Brown, maybe Westbrook-Akine at 32.5. Tyjae Spears at 21. Now that he's back, you'll get a 55-45 split with Pollard. And they even have a McNichols prop, which is weird to me. Why the fuck is there a Jeremy McNichols prop up there? I mean, Jaden Daniels, I don't like the passing. I don't like the rushing. This is the one game I don't like Will Levis either. I'm high on him the rest of the way. So, I mean, if anything, his rushing yards, maybe. But, I mean, Brian Robinson at 58.5, that's not great either. The Tennessee Titans defense right now, they do give up 73.5 total, but that's the lowest in the NFL. So, I mean, I don't really like anything from this game. If I had to pick anything, it'd be like the kickers, and there's no kicker props I can see right now on drafters. So Calvin Ridley's yards would be the only one I like at 61.5.
I will say I do really like Will Levis's longest rush at 9.5. It seems borderline free. I like that a lot. And then Terry McLaurin's longest reception also seems very nice to me. 22.5 longest reception. We've seen Tennessee actually give this up each of the last 3 weeks that they play football. So, yeah, I really do like that. Chigo Konku, I'm going to like the under on his 20.5 receiving yards. And that's about it. That's what I like. Dan, you're up, buddy. Talk to us.
Same. Don't love this game. Don't see a lot that I really want to put on any cards here. My research suggests this is a fantastic matchup for Tony Pollard. I got Tony Pollard for hitting these rush yards and probably scoring a touchdown in this game. Other than that, I'm a little worried about Brian Robinson's knee. Eckler's out, so there's an opportunity there for him to get a little more work than usual. Maybe that's why McNichols is in there. And guys, look at how sneaky this is. McNichols is in there in his Titans jersey.
Yeah,
Isn't
that screwy? Like, I guarantee you, most people that don't know what they're thinking or doing don't even know that he plays for Washington. Looking at this.
So we all hate the game. If you guys had one Commanders pick you like, what is it?
I like Terry
McLaurin. Yeah, Terry McLaurin longest reception. And then I like Nick Westbrook-Akine. If you look at what wide receivers have been doing, wide receiver 1s and 2s against Washington all season. I like Nick Westbrook-Akine. He's playing 90% of the snaps. 32.5 receiving yards seems very generous. 18.5 longest reception seems very generous, and 2.5 receptions also seems very generous. I just hate the guy who's throwing the fucking football. Like, yeah, and like the Calvin Ridley target situation, like I don't think we really necessarily like finished speaking about it. It's like, yeah, it's a great matchup, it's a great opportunity, but why have the targets died down? Right, where he was getting high targets and high opportunity. It was 2 really good, strong matchups in the schedule, and then the last 2 weeks. Like, it's been kind of decent matchups. Like, he should have had a lot of opportunity and a lot of work, but the guy throwing the ball just wasn't targeting him and going towards him. It's been more like Chig and some of the other tertiary options. It's a very weird offense, very weird one to bet on. But I'm glad that we're done with this.
Tony Pollard dominated last game, though. It was hard to not give him the ball. He was playing great.
Guess who said he was a smash start? This guy. This guy, for sure. I like patting myself on the back. It feels good.
I stayed away from him too.
I know I fucking smashed him pretty much everywhere. The fact that Spears was out and almost 20, like 80% of the snaps can't go wrong there. LA Rams 2.5-point favorites coming into New Orleans. The over/under is 49.5. Let me just ask you guys right now, right off the rip. Taysom Hill, what are we doing with this guy? We playing him? We starting him? We bullish on him?
If he's a tight end, you got to play him, right? If he's tight end eligible.
Yeah, he'd say he's tight end eligible in like the vast majority of best balls, and like if you want to do your drafters DFS lineup or any DFS lineup, he's a tight end. But if he's in the tight end slot in general, are we bullish on him? Where do you have him ranked on the week? What's your kind of projections?
Pro Football Focus has him as a top 3 matchup this week, but on paper versus the Rams, like the Rams don't get killed by tight ends, so it's just one of those things where sometimes there's a disagreement from Pro Football Focus. And
but Dan, before you keep going, Taysom Hill isn't a tight end. Like he's just listed as a tight end. Yes, the Rams don't get killed by tight ends, but he's a fucking running back / fullback / running.
He got 10 targets last week.
Yeah, even then, but like it's his usage and his production. Like I'm starting to look at it and it's like, why am I hating on him so much? Like this guy, he's the ultimate cheat code when it comes to fantasy football production. So yeah, I mean, like shit. If you got Taysom Hill, I'm starting him, but I'm still not starting him over Trey McBride. I'd find a way to get both of them.
I mean, Taysom Hill with his usage right now is like tight end 1. I mean, I don't want to say he's the best tight end in the league, but when I look at running backs and I look at wide receivers, I think how many targets can these guys have first and foremost? And when it comes to a running back, how many touches, right? And Taysom Hill just is flat out going to have more touches than any other tight end in the NFL right now, week in and week out. He's going to have 15 touches. How do you find a tight end that has 15 touches?
It's always the week I come around on Taysom Hill where he absolutely puts up a fucking dud. So this is the week I come around on him, guys. Be cautious. Right, Dan, what do you like about this game, bud?
I just love Matt Stafford this week, and I love Cooper Kupp, and I love Puka Nacua, and I could see the Rams offense really going off. I love Taysom Hill. I love his receiving yards. I love his rushing yards. He's the RB2. They don't have to change the offense. They can still throw him the ball just like they throw Kamara the ball. If anything, Taysom Hill is screwing things up for us Kamara owners, right? The guys that were bullish on Kamara and got him on a bunch of teams were really feeling good about that until recently. And now Taysom Hill's stealing all kinds of Kamara production.
I mean, he's still getting 20 touches a game.
It's more like the red zone direct snaps that Taysom Hill's stealing.
Yeah, he's stealing the red zone work, right? He's stealing the high point stuff, and
the money zone stuff for sure.
And Jamal Williams wasn't getting those touches, and Kendra Miller wasn't getting those touches. So the fact that Hill he's stealing them, in my opinion. But it's a good move. He's good. I do it too. The new coach there loves Taysom Hill. The intern
Riz.
Coach, he loves him. And Marquez Valdez-Scantling, I love him for his longest reception, 21-5.
I just puked in my mouth.
If you think Derek Carr is playing well, then you got to give Marquez Valdez-Scantling probably the best opportunity of any receiver on that roster right now to do well. And him having one long catch is probably the best bet out of any receiver on that whole team, in my opinion. I don't know if I want to bet it, but my research says that that's the only thing on the Saints receiving core to bet. Puka Nacua, I just absolutely love. Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp has one of the very best matchups by Pro Football Focus this week. as well as individual matchups. Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp have the number 1 and number 2 best individual matchups versus any corner in the NFL this week when they face off against A. Taylor. Puka Nacua is projected to get 12 snaps against him for a 99.9% matchup advantage, and Cooper Kupp's 98.9% matchup advantage. And Denard Robinson's the 3rd best matchup individually in the entire league when he faces the same player with a 97.7% advantage. So I don't know if PFF's onto something, but I would say that Matt Stafford's a smart guy, and whoever's lined up across from that guy is going to get the ball.
I like it. Sleazimus Decimus, before you go, since we got somebody talking about this game or players in this game, I agree with Sleazy's response. Seabass Supreme says start Cup over Flowers and Mooney. Already starting Nico. Yeah, definitely always start Cup. Who Scopes in the building says, "What's up, guys?" Hussein, come over to YouTube, buddy. We need a Hussein conundrum. It's been a long time. Dustin Stone says that Pollard call last week was on point. I appreciate you appreciating me, appreciating you, sir. God bless you. Pollard or Hall, considering the knee injury. I'm going Hall, man. You can't sit Hall.
Always Hall.
Brainy Ballers. Shout out to Brainy Ballers. Shout out to Brainy Ballers. Guys, get yourselves a Brainy Baller fantasy football trophy custom helmet. I got mine hanging in the back right there. Sleaze has his. Take your fantasy football leagues to the next level by getting a Brainy Ballers helmet and custom design. Shout out to that guy. What a goat. What's up? What's good, boy? Says Andre. Thank you for tuning in, brother. We love you and love to see you every single time. Ikeni, would you start Baker or Jaden Daniels? I'm going Jaden Daniels here. Like, I think Baker's got one of the better matchups in football, but I think the running game is going to be too prevalent there, and I'm more high on Jaden Daniels just breaking fantasy football and doing things that not a lot of other quarterbacks can do in football. Sleaze, you're up, buddy. What do you like about the Saints and LA Rams game, and what do you dislike about the Saints and LA Rams game? Because
a lot. Go ahead.
And before you go, I want to say, like, Dan didn't mention Kyron Williams a heck of a lot.
I know. Hang on. I want to get to that.
So I just wanted to see, like, how you.
I'm gonna get to that.
Kyron. Okay.
First of all, if you guys are in chat, smash that like, smash that subscription. Helps out a ton. I see 17 in there. I want to see 17 thumbs up. And my number 1 lock of the week is this 4-piece right here. The number 1 pick is Kyron for the longest. So 14.5 is ridiculously. The New Orleans Saints give up the most yards per carry in the NFL to the running back. He's going to smash that easy at 14 yards. That's way too low. But I also like Matt Stafford for 260, or what's his line at?
It's currently at
260.5.
Okay, you don't like his. Do you like his completions?
Are the Saints going to stay in the game?
Good,
I think it's
question.
a big game for the Rams right here, especially in the NFC West with everybody tied up.
Well, I mean, I think Vegas seems to think so. If it's only 2.5 points,
I don't think so. I think the Rams torch him here.
Okay,
but you could talk me into it because he's crushing that line a lot and he's throwing like crazy. So
he's dropping back almost 40 times, completing the ball over 26, 27 times. So if we're not bullish on his completions, then we got to be more bullish on Kyron Williams, right?
Yeah. I'm going any Kyron Williams prop. I'm down for it all. 79.5, 14.5 longest. The Saints give up, I think, 120. I don't even need to look, like 121 rushing yards a game. That's a big outlier there. Kyron's had 2 bad games. He's pissed off. He's about to go nuclear this game. I also like Taysom Hill at 29 rushing yards. I think that's way too low for him. I love what Dan said, Cooper Kupp or Puka Nacua. Give me the receptions. Give me the yards on both of them. I think they're both going to smash in this game, especially after trading away Lattimore. They can't stop anything. And for the Saints side, I was looking at these, man, like Valdez Scantling for 2.5, possibly. He could pop 36 yards in one play easily. The Rams secondary is very young. I mean, I kind of like Carr at 224 because I feel like they're going to have to pass a lot, even though I don't like it. Actually, I don't like it a lot. I don't like Juwan Johnson. Blake Group doesn't have kicker points. I mean, I would take Joshua Carty's probably at 7.5 or 1.5. I like him. It's got to be the only Saint I'm going to roll with is Taysom Hill's rushing at 29.5.
Yeah, I mean that kind of seems free, but like
Yeah.
once again, when I'm bullish on Taysom Hill, he does nothing, so I'm not fucking putting money on it. But I mean,
Well, Riz is pumping him up like they're going to use him 24/7.
yeah, I know it's weird.
I don't know the coach's first name. I just know it's the Riz.
I don't like anybody on the Saints side at all whatsoever. I think you guys hit it on the head with your Kyron Williams assessment, please. I think Dan's assessment of both Puka and I mean, like, I'm not starting Derek Carr. Yes, he's had two decent outings, but I need to see more against better teams. It's so weird. Like, that team is such a conundrum. Let's look at the next game. Are you guys done with this game?
Yeah, I will say.
Oh yeah, I don't like any Saints, so I'm good. This Kyron is. I'm all in on Kyron this week. I think he's number.
I will say that Alvin Kamara shows up with a really nice run blocking advantage through Pro Football Focus's run blocking charts.
And the O-line is healthier now.
So
Davidson back.
You know, I have him for a good bet for hitting this 64.5 rushing yards. I could see that happening. What I really like for both Kamara and Kyron Williams, both that aren't listed here, is a touchdown. I think both players have a real high probability of each scoring a touchdown.
I like it. All right, moving on. We got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, 6-point favorites versus the Carolina Panthers. The over-under is 46.5. Baker Mayfield has another week with Mike Evans, who is now healthy. Rashad White is doing Rashad White things. He's still finding a way to be productive, even on a less snap share, less touch basis. We got Bucky Irving, who is quickly becoming a league winner. 52.5% of the snaps last week. That is an insane amount of, and by far the most usage he's seen all week. Mike Evans is in a smash spot. Everybody here offensively for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, including Kate Otten, who should absolutely bounce back this week in a very advantageous matchup. Baker Mayfield, they're all great starts, all great plays. We touched everything Tampa Bay, all right? It's fucking common sense, guys. Now we need to dig and scrape at the bottom of the fucking barrel, and that's the Carolina Panthers, folks. What do you like?
I kind of like these, bro. I like a lot of these props. I don't mean to jump in, but
that's what I do, right? That's what I do. I set you up. I'm like Steve Nash. Here's the alley-oop.
Yeah,
I'm like Amari Stoudemire's size. I'm still setting you up with the alley-oop. So, Duncan, what do you like about the Carolina Panthers, please?
Bryce Young's 206 passing yards. They give up 270 a game in Tampa. I like that a lot. I like the rushing yards for Chuba Hubbard. The Buccaneers' run defense is not any better than their pass defense. I like Adam Thielen at 39.5. I like David Moore at 37. I might even like Xavier Legette at 39. Those are way too low for how bad this Tampa secondary is. But I think Bryce at 200 is my favorite for the Panthers.
So you're telling me the Bryce is right?
Yeah, they're terrible on defense.
All right, before you keep
just
going,
passed for 263 on the Chiefs.
Yeah, you ain't kidding. But I mean, so did fucking what's his face?
Aiden the guy.
Farva. So did Farva. Brett Farva. So right now, guys, we currently have 165 people tuning in on X. Thank you guys from the bottom of my heart for watching and supporting. But it would really help us out a heck of a lot if you came over to the Big Draft Energy YouTube channel. Please come on over, subscribe to the channel. It costs you nothing. And also like the video. That also costs you nothing. And just connecting your if you don't have your Gmail connected to your YouTube to have a YouTube account, it literally takes 2 seconds. You literally just connect your Gmail account, plug in your Gmail account, and you bada bing, bada boom, you got an account here. It really does help us out a heck of a lot, guys. I know it sounds like I'm begging, but I mean, it's my dream to become, a successful fantasy football content creator like Sleezball. So thank you guys for tuning in. Come on over to the YouTube channel, guys. It really does help me continue this stream. And once again, we could prioritize your chats and your questions here over on YouTube better than anywhere else. Dan, what you got for this game, buddy? Sorry. Not what you got for this game, because we already fucking like Tampa, and we're going to talk about our locks later. I'm going to build a card with each of your 8 favorite locks. But before just tell me what you like about Carolina, who you like in Carolina, who you think is a smash start in fantasy football, and which props you like for Carolina this week.
Well, this is a good Chubba Hubbard game. Tampa Bay hasn't been fantastic against running backs. They've been particularly vulnerable against the pass running backs. So 15.5 receiving yards, 9.5 longest reception. I love both of those for Chubba. I know he hasn't been super involved with the pass, but this is a great matchup, and I think they'll use him in that aspect. I just am so in love with Bucky Irving. This guy, I just think he's going to be a superstar in this league. And, you know, Rachaad White is a decent back, and Bucky Irving makes him kind of just not really that important. He's just – I think Bucky Irving's the next LaShawn McCoy. When I watch Bucky Irving play, all I can think of is LaShawn McCoy over and over again. The way he moves, the way he shifts, the way he avoids tackles, the way he gets that extra couple yards, the way he never seems to take a big hit. I just love him. I love him in this matchup. I love everything about him in this matchup. I will say this. The Panthers are only giving up like 4.5 receptions a game to running backs, which kind of goes against Tampa's philosophy. Tampa might have 15 completions to a running back any given week. So I don't know if that's something I should be concerned about, because maybe that's just a game script thing. Carolina really hasn't been playing with a lead. And typically when teams start piling up receptions versus you from the running back position, it's because they're trailing and they're playing that catch-up mode, and they're checking some down when they don't have anybody open, and they're taking that 8-10 free yards before the half and at the end of the game. So I'm not scared of their low numbers giving up receiving to the running backs. I think that nobody throws the ball to the running backs in this league right now better than Baker Mayfield and that offensive system, and I expect it to continue. And I know Mike Evans has been fantastic against Carolina in his career. Just last year, he had 7 catches, 162 yards, and a touchdown. Last January 1st, 2023, he had 10 catches for 207 yards and 3 touchdowns. The game before that, he had 96 yards on 9 catches. The game before that, 6 for 89 and 2 touchdowns. I mean, he has really been good versus Carolina. So if you want to just take a flyer on a wide receiver that's got a great history, I think that's a decent flyer to take this week. You know, Xavier Legette.
I got to stop you for a second there, buddy. It sounds like a fucking cat is like cleaning the litter every time you speak with your mic. It's driving me insane.
Hang on. Kev is in chat right now. I got a question before Dan keeps going. What would it take for you right now, both of you in Dynasty, to trade Jamar Chase?
Me?
Honest question, yeah.
Oh, like you couldn't nothing. Like, you know,
that's
like,
my fucking point.
Sleaze. How high was I on Jamar Chase off season?
T. Higgins is gonna be gone next year, bro. He's gonna destroy things.
How high was I, guys? Both of you know. Both of you met me in the off season. How high was I on Jamar Chase this off season? Do you guys know anybody who was higher on Jamar Chase than me?
No.
Yeah. I was Jamar Chase no matter fucking what. So the fact that it's paying off, the fact that he's like player 1 in fantasy football as a flex, the fact that it's paying off, you couldn't even give me $1 million. Like, honestly, I might trade it for $1 million.
What about 4 first-round picks?
Huh?
4 first-round picks.
No, bro, you couldn't give me 4 first-round picks this year, next year, the year before. You couldn't give me, like, I wouldn't take Amon-Ra St. Brown and 4 first-round picks. The fact that I got Justin Jefferson in my dynasty startup league, shout out to Knifey Spooney, in my dynasty startup league in the community first, where I literally traded Amon-Ra St. Brown and next year's first for Jamar Chase, because that's how much I believed in Jamar Chase. That's how much I love Jamar Chase, no matter what. Man, hey, I'm not giving up shit for Jamar Chase. He's him. and he's going to continue to be him, especially when he signs the bag. He's got one of the best quarterbacks in football. Dan, sorry we interrupted you.
What do you think his contract's going to look like?
Honestly, if it's not the most lucrative contract a wide receiver's ever seen by far, then he deserves a better team.
Do I still sound bad? I tried messing with my mic some.
It sounds better. It does not sound like a cat is cleaning litter. At the moment. It's very descriptive, but it's bang on.
I bet you're regretful that you had that little 2-week span where you were worried about Chase and stopped drafting him for 2 weeks there.
Hey man, it took my exposure from Jamar Chase from 35% to 32%. It is what it is.
I would say for me to trade Jamar Chase in Dynasty, I'd have to have like at least another receiver that I think's right up there in the mix, like you did with Amon-Ra. Or the only way I would consider it.
I traded away Amon-Ra. This knifey went ahead of me 1 pick, and he's like, I want Amon-Ra. I like Amon-Ra, but I'm going to take Jamar Chase because Jamar Chase is still available, and I know Disco's right after me at the 106, and I know he's going to give an arm or leg for Jamar Chase, and he was fucking right. Well played. Like, guess who's first in that league?
So Cade Otton actually has a great matchup in this game.
Love him.
Receptions, yards, long reception, touchdown. Love all things Cade Otton. And Tommy Tremble is a guy that I don't trust, but has a great matchup. I'm probably not going to play him or hit anything, but if you're looking for maybe a cheap outlier that could do it all in one catch, he has a great matchup versus Tampa Bay. Chase McLaughlin has a fantastic matchup here. 7.5 kicker points feels real good. I really like Chase McLaughlin. I have 11 kickers this week that I like. He's one of the 11 kickers.
Okay.
Carolina does give up a 10-point average a game to kickers.
Great breakdown, gentlemen. Excellent breakdown. All right. So Carbonated Soup. I love the name. Nervous about Brian Robinson Jr. I have Warren on the bench. Start Warren over B-Rob? ? What do you guys think?
Nah. Brian Robinson Jr. hasn't really had too many games where he's been going into the game as the bell cow guy.
I have a rule.
I never away from Joe Mixon last week. The Tennessee front is fucking good, man.
I told people Joe Mixon's not a top 10 RB. People harassed me on I told people he was not a top 10 RB last week based on the matchup. I got harassed. Over 200 messages. Only a few wrote back when I told them, hey, what was that? Because he wasn't a top. Like, people told me, like, I should, like, just terrible things. I'm not even going to fucking repeat it. And like, not one of them had the, I don't know if I would say a couple of them had the courtesy to, one, follow me back, two, to concede that, hey, Disco, you're right. You know what you're fucking talking about. I'm going Jalen Warren. I have one rule in fantasy football. Actually, 2 rules. Don't be a homer. And rule number 2, don't play hurt players. And B-Rob's injury is pretty significant. So I'm going with Jalen Warren. I like Jalen Warren. It's a great matchup. He has good receiving upside. Arthur Smith is going to Arthur Smith us out of the situation. But I don't like rolling with injured players. Brandon Baller says, I agree with that so much, BD. I don't agree with sending away proven, producing it at a great level and a young talent, for that matter, talent at a price, unless it's legitimately for the rights to the league. Exactly. Stevenson, Pollard, Debo, Taysom Hill, JSN need to flex one full PPR. So Ramondre Stevenson, Tony Pollard. We did say we like Tony Pollard. Debo we have not talked about. Taysom Hill we said has a good opportunity. Sleaze is very high on JSN. What remind me, Dan, were you high on JSN as well?
I haven't got there yet with him.
Yeah, I'm not like, I love JSN.
What does it take?
Not this week.
For JSN.
I love JSN. JSN, you know I've been very high on JSN. You have been higher on me. I will concede that, but I've been very high on JSN as well. I just don't like him this week because of the lack of production that the slot receivers have against the New York Jets. So for that, I'm going to say Ramondre Stevenson has the best matchup. I like Tony Pollard as well. I'm gonna go Mondre, man. I'm gonna go Mondre, and I hope it's not this.
Hey, brother. No, see. Chilling. I'll come down there. We got like 20 minutes. Oh,
yeah.
I like Pollard here. I mean, just out of my matchup chart, I don't know, Ramondre Stevenson or Pollard. You could really just roll the dice, and I think both are about a tie. I really like them both.
So
I like both those guys.
Oh, Jay season.
Okay. So you got three completely different answers. All right, guys. So we're not going to talk about the Monday night game. So we got this game, and then we got the big Sunday night football game. Should be fun. I want to just I might even hop off the camera and just let you two fucking go at it. Philadelphia Eagles +3 versus the Baltimore Ravens. The over/under is 51.0. Bandit made a really, really excellent point earlier on in the week. I believe it was your Wednesday show where he said, Saquon, we've bet on the over of his rushing props every single week, and it was at 93.5 earlier in the week when he mentioned that. But if any game is the game for him to actually hit the under, it's this. Currently, it's at 88.5. His longest rush is at 16.5. I will say, out of all the props, I'm not scared of any of them, but the one that I love the most is the over 2.5 receptions. I think that's so free. I think it's stupidly free. I think it's extravagantly free. I really do like that. If we're talking about production, this is a smash matchup for AJ Brown. 88.5 receiving yards. Absolutely love that. 28.5 longest reception. I even like that because they hemorrhage a lot of points to opposing wideouts. And by they, I mean the
Ravens.
The Ravens. And then Jalen Hurts passing yards, 228.5 seems completely free. It's on borderline criminal based off of the fact that, this defense allows over 303 passing yards per game to opposing quarterbacks. That's fucking criminal. That's an absolute lock. It's super free. And then Lamar Jackson, I think he's going to have a decent outing. 19.5 completion seems a little bit over the top for me. I'm not betting on the over or the under. I don't necessarily like that. Derrick Henry, I like his longest rush prop pretty much this game and every fucking game. But Justice Hill, I like his receiving yards at 15.5 as well. So, I have a 4-piece for this game. It's over 2.5. Here, I'll build it up with you guys right now.
I like that.
It's over 2.5 receptions for Saquon Barkley, over the 228.5 passing yards for Jalen Hurts, the over 15.5 receiving yards for Justice Hill, and AJ Brown, longest reception. I'll go with the receiving yards because
can't with the Hurts.
Okay, so longest reception, and then I'm gonna put a 15 piece on this. We'll put $15 on this. That'll turn it into $150. We had a shit. Okay, so we'll take off. Which prop is it? The longest.
AJ Brown. I can't get it either with the longest.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not adding another one. So
bring me one. It's
all right. So Justice Hill over his receiving yards, Jalen Hurts over his passing yards, Saquon Barkley over 2.5 receptions. We put $15 there. That will 6 times my money if and when it does hit. Use promo code DISCO to double your initial deposit on Drafters Fantasy. Anywhere between $25 to $100. That's one of my favorite locks and one of my favorite games to bet on because it's just so clear and concise. And I know I hogged the mic there. So Sleaze, you're up, buddy. You're muted.
Sorry, I said I was looking at the Ravens. I got so many people at the house right now.
You're good, man. You're good.
I was looking at the Ravens and you nailed it. I really don't like any prop but Henry's longest. And if anything, I'd say under for Isaiah Likely. The Philadelphia Eagles are very good versus the tight end.
But he's not your prototypical tight end. I will say his usage has gone significantly less because Rashad Bateman has emerged as a really good player. And I mean, Darius Slay being out there, yes, Quinyon Mitchell is going to either cover him or Zay Flowers. But I mean, Deontay Johnson really fucked up a lot of things for my Isaiah Likely, trutherness, because he was usually the wide receiver 3 in a lot of wide receiver 3 sets, and now he's getting less usage than Cole. Right. Make it make sense. So yeah, please carry on.
So here you go. Am I crazy for this too? I like the Saquon Barkley under and the Derrick Henry under the rushing. That's why I like Justice Hill in this game. I think the game script is going to tend to more pass heavy for both sides.
Oh, I don't like that.
I don't think it's going to be a run game like that.
I will never bet on the under. I will
So
never.
hang on.
I will
So
find an over I like for them and bet on
Eagles
them.
give 77, and the Ravens only give 60 yards rushing. So
For
both
sure,
those
but
numbers are inflated.
But like so like if we're talking about what these defenses do, yes, they've been both very good against the run. But like you also got to talk about what these running backs
I know
have
these
done.
running backs wear them
And
down at the end. I know.
these running games, these are two of the best running games in football.
I'm not betting on it. I'm just saying, am I
Yeah.
crazy to do it? I would take the unders.
Yeah, you're fucking nuts.
Not just two of the best, the two best.
Yeah, I mean, like it's absolutely insane.
But
That both of these guys found new homes, and Daniel Jones stuck around, and now Daniel Jones got cut, and they're still paying Daniel Jones, and they don't have to. New York Giants.
So if I'm looking at anything else, I agree with the AJ Brown 100%. I'm not touching Zay. I'm interested in Dallas Goedert. The Ravens give up a lot of pass yards to the tight end, but Devonta Smith might be back out there, so that would be less, targets for him. Mark Andrews 32.5 is always low. I feel like he could beat that every game. And man, we saw a lot more Kenneth Gainwell. 12.5 yards for Kenneth Gainwell. That's interesting as well. I think he's covered that now. Let me see. He got a touchdown last week. He's gotten 22, 43, and 30 over the past 3 games, and his snap share's gone up in 2 of the 3 games. So that 12 yards looks interesting, but the Ravens are very good versus the run. I know, but it seems super low. I was still not willing to bet on it. But yeah, I like the exact props you nailed. Hurts's yards, AJ Brown yards are longest. I do like Saquon's receiving yards or receptions. I'm interested in Goddard's yards, and for the Ravens, it's just Justice Hill, or maybe likely under.
Hurt. No, we answered that. Sean Jr. McCafferty says, how are we feeling about Hyungwei Koo? He was dropped last week in my league. I mean, like he could be okay. He could be bad. I think if we're thinking about this game script between the LA Chargers and the Atlanta Falcons, I believe that he's going to have a lot of opportunity to get a lot of kicking points. I think he's a good option. I just don't know who you're comparing him against or who you're dealing with. All right, Dan, you're up.
I absolutely love AJ Brown this week. I mean, he's my wide receiver 2 right after Nico. I'm gonna have him in a ton of bets. I just love everything about him. I love his receptions. I love his yards. I love his longest reception. I love him for a touchdown. That being said, I love Jalen Hurts for his attempts and completions. I know Drafter doesn't have it listed, but I really like that. I think he's going to drop back and throw the ball more than usual. I'm a little concerned about Devonta Smith. I don't think he's going to play based on what he said in his interview. He says that he's going to leave it to the team and do what they tell him. So usually it means they're probably erring on the side of caution, but who knows? This is a good game for Lamar Jackson to have over 271.5 pass plus rush yards, I think. And I do know that the Eagles have been good against receivers, and they've been good with their secondary. Cooper DeJean's the best slot corner in the league, according to Pro Football Focus. But he just seems to figure out a way. They don't really do things the same way as everyone else. He's not asking people to beat you in man coverage. It seems like Lamar Jackson is always throwing to somebody that's wide open. It just feels that way when you watch him. I think that he's kind of an outlier. And I think that 271 is doable because the Eagles are going to score more points than most other teams score versus them. So they're going to keep him in the game. It's not. I highly doubt this is going to turn into a Derrick Henry fourth quarter. I just don't see that happening. Saquon's just a smash play on all the receiving stuff. Receiving yards, 17.5s, way too low. 2.5 receptions, way too low. 11.5 yards, longest reception. I think it's a smash. I love all of the receiving for Saquon. Kind of staying away from who's going to get the ball from Lamar, even though I'm confident Lamar will figure out a way to get some yards and some stats. I don't really want to predict who it is. Zay Flowers is only 59.5 receiving yards. That seems like the way to go if you're going to go somebody. I mean, if Lamar has 200 passing yards, it's hard to imagine Zay not having 60. Dallas Goedert has got a great matchup. I really think that he's got good receptions. I really like him for receiving yards. And I love his longest reception, but guys, I'm sure you've noticed this. His longest reception's always so long compared to other tight ends. Like it's between 17.5 and 20.5 yards week in and week out. And I want to bet it every week. And then I compare it to other guys that are at 14.5 or 15.5, and it's discouraging. I like Jake Elliott too, but he's not on drafters. But I like Jake Elliott here for 1.5 or more field goals.
I mean, Justin Tucker also seems like a lock for 1.5 field goals. All right. So great breakdown, guys. We're down to the last game. Honestly, this Ravens and Eagles game is going to be so exciting.
I know.
It should be the Sunday Night Football game, but we got these two fucking garbage teams that we got to talk about. We got Sleezball's 49ers, who are 6-point dogs, coming into Dan's Buffalo Bills. That's a pause.
Sounds like they're lucky.
Anyways, we got a snow globe game, lake storm front, whatever the fuck you call it. It seems like the cleanup is underway. The vast majority of the bad weather is, happened yesterday and more so today. It looks like tomorrow's going to be more cleanup. We're not going to, like, some meteorologists are saying there's going to be 30-mile-per-hour gusts. Others are saying it's going to be nothing. So I will say, before I let both of you guys speak, because I want you guys to have it out here. Like, I want you guys to get as fucking toxic as humanly possible. I will say this. Pay attention to the wind gusts, because the snow doesn't really affect anything. The snow is actually more favorable for an offensive player because they kind of know where they're going, and the defensive player is just one slip away from letting a player break big. I do like Deebo Samuel in this game, with or without Brock Purdy, because his usage is there. But my biggest take is, like, if there's wind, like 30-mile-per-hour gusts, I'm not playing anybody, not even Josh Allen. I'd consider James Cook, obviously, and Christian McCaffrey, because the game benefits running players. But if there's no, like, high win game, I'm riding with everybody who's anybody in this game. So I'm going to shut the fuck up. Which one of you wants to go first here? Sleaze, since you're the dog here? Or
I'll lead it off. I'll lead it off.
All right.
So my boy lives in Buffalo, about 4.5, 4.7 miles from the stadium. He says there's 4 feet of snow on the ground, and they do expect more tomorrow. And we just lost Disco to the Matrix. But in this game, when that happens,
I'm here. I'm just letting you guys have your showdown.
So in this game, when that happens, I stay away from everything. I mean, just like the Pittsburgh Steelers-Cleveland game, I didn't like anything in that game but the running backs and the tight ends, because you're not going to be able to get deep as a wide receiver. You're not going to be able to run. You're not going to be able to get your long deep ball, long reception. It's going to be everything across the middle in a run game. So I have already put a $50 bet down for 150 on CMC over the rushing of 60 and James Cook over the rushing of 65.5, because I think this game is going to live on the ground. And the 49ers are also missing Trent Williams. They're also missing Aaron Banks. 2 of our linemen are down. Bosa is out. We're going to get mollywopped in Buffalo. It's going to be really, really ugly. And I'm not touching any other props in this game except for maybe under the passing for Brock Purdy and Josh Allen, because I don't think they're throwing for 220 plus in this game. And I don't like the kickers or anything either.
That's not how I expected your take to go, sir.
I told you I've already given up. We're not winning this game. We're not beating Josh Allen in the snow. Get out of here. There's no way.
All right. That was pathetic. Dan, you're up.
Put us on a fucking field and we'll mop the Bills out the building.
San Francisco 49ers homer from fucking where are you from? Iowa, Idaho?
Well, I will say
we all hoes. Young Hoku.
As a Bills fan, we're looking at hoping to get the 1 seed. That's what all of us fans are hoping for, and we're rooting against Kansas City on every single snap, and every single time they win one of these close games, it drives us Bills fans completely bonkers. And this is probably the second toughest game left on our schedule. We got Detroit coming up. So, this is a must-win game for Buffalo to secure a bye week 1. And I think the Bills are going to win this game with the better defense out of the two teams. I think the Bills' defense is as healthy as it's been all year. We're getting Matt Milano back, who is probably our very best defensive player. This is going to be his first game this year. I'm very excited about getting Matt Milano back. We have really everybody healthy for the first time in a couple years. Really, this is the first time in a couple years the Bills defense is healthy. I love what Bobby Babich is doing as a defensive coordinator. He's probably leading the NFL and making the best halftime adjustments. I don't think the Bills have given up 40 combined points in the second half all season. They've been phenomenal after halftime. That being said, I do like the Bills to figure out a way to win this game, and the main reason is going to be Josh Allen. Josh Allen's probably the best bad weather quarterback I've ever experienced in my life, not only in the league.
Hold the fucking phone. Wait a minute. Best bad weather quarterback you've ever seen in your entire fucking life? I
think so. Name a guy that's better in bad weather than Josh Allen.
How long have you been a Bills fan?
I mean, I've watched every single NFL game for 15 straight years.
Okay, so for most of those fucking 15 straight years, Tom Brady, rain, hail, sleet, or snow, fucked your team up and the rest of the NFL up, and you're going to tell me Josh Allen, who hasn't done diddly fucking squad in the NFL, is the best.
Hey, that was Vinatieri saving that field goal kick
in the NFL you've ever seen.
I would say it's up there.
Way better than Tom Brady in the snow. Way better.
You are delusional.
Tom Brady's got a noodle arm compared to Allen. Allen can throw.
Fucking deluded.
He wanted the fucking smoke. He made it happen on his own. I like it.
Jesus, Look,
Allen's got probably the strongest arm in the NFL. He can cut through the wind better than any quarterback in the NFL. He avoids a sack better than any quarterback in the NFL. He's built for this. So let me just say this. What's the only perfect quarterback game in NFL history? Who has it?
Doesn't fucking matter. Does it win you Super Bowls? No.
It was Josh Allen.
Ever really won a Super Bowl? No. You guys been to 4 in a row.
It was Josh Allen.
One of them. And now you're telling me that your quarterback, who hasn't done diddly, is the best at something. He's the best at not winning a Super Bowl. How about that, Dan?
Josh Allen is 16-0 in his last 16 games in December and January in the regular season.
I mean, Dan Marino was a tremendous quarterback. You know who's not in the GOAT talk because he never won the big one? You know who's just not in any conversation whatsoever? Dan Marino, because he never won a big one. And the Buffalo Bills are in the same fucking conversation because you guys never won a big one. Anyways, please continue with your conversation. I could do this all day.
Josh Allen has had 6 chances to win a Super Bowl. Out of those 6 chances, he's really only had 4 because he was nowhere near ready to play in the NFL. And you guys know that. That's a fact.
Well, hang on. Were you talking perfect QBR? Because a lot of quarterbacks have done a perfect QBR.
There's only been one perfect 158.3
Josh
game
Allen,
in NFL history. It's Josh Allen versus the Patriots in 13-degree weather with like 30-mile-an-hour winds.
Wow, you really had to dig deep for that one particular stat. But I mean, like, how many Super Bowls you guys got? Anyways, please carry on.
That's what I'm getting at. So Josh Allen's literally had 6 seasons in his entire life in the NFL.
It's not fucking happening. Please carry on with your breakdown.
he has not been even a good quarterback in.
He's still
out of his 6 seasons, there's been 3 total quarterbacks that's won a Super Bowl. Tom Brady's got 2, Matt Stafford has 1, and Patrick Mahomes has 3.
Yeah, and he's not going to get any.
Definitely not fair to judge Josh Allen on whether or not he's won a Super Bowl or not yet. That's the dumbest shit I've ever heard in my life.
He's not going to do it. How many Super Bowls do you think Josh Allen's going to win? Because I know I'm going to be friends with you for the rest of my life. So I'm going to hold you accountable for this.
Super Bowl.
He's going to at least
win a Super Bowl. He's the best quarterback in the NFL right now.
I'm going to say he's not going to win a Super Bowl ever in Buffalo. As long as he's in Buffalo, he's not going to win a fucking Super Bowl. All right, please proceed.
If that
he's not leaving Buffalo,
that's Sean McDermott not winning a Super Bowl, not Josh Allen. Josh Allen has got the second best playoff.
I need a drink for this shit, babe. Let me love.
Josh Allen's got the second best playoff stats in NFL history with a minimum of 10 games. Patrick Mahomes has the first best.
Yeah, and Patrick Mahomes has how many Super? I think Paris Campbell got signed to the roster. If that says anything about Devonta Smith, yeah, it's a hamstring. You can't really come back from a hamstring. Charlie says, "I see Josh Allen with a rush TD for sure. He's good. He's good at football. Don't get me wrong. He's good at football. But the best cold weather quarterback ever.
I think he's up there for sure.
I'm for sure. Like, yeah,
Tom Brady's definitely not him. Tom Brady's definitely not the better cold weather quarterback. He doesn't even have a strong arm. He can't even throw the ball 20 yards downfield and make a completion when in the cold weather. The guy dink and dunked.
He did it a lot in the snow in the playoffs. That's not true.
You are fucking delusional, sir. You are fucking delusional. And I don't know what you're smoking, but you need to get an affiliate partnership with them and promote that shit because it has you fucked up and saying fucked up shit, sir. The Tootsie Pop says, will Justin Jefferson have a good day tomorrow? I fucking sure hope so. And I'm cursing a lot. It means it's disco after dark. Sean Jr. McCafferty says, I'm a Ravens fan, the Bills fan, reaching on Josh Allen. Relax. Exactly, Sean. God bless you. Listen.
Oh, you're taking Lamar over Allen. Have you ever watched Lamar play in the playoffs? This guy is the worst cold weather playoff football quarterback ever.
I love this. Lamar in the cold weather. Hell no. The chats after each other. Let's get toxic. All right, guys.
Lamar in the cold will not do it. I'm not buying that.
So, Sleaze, I'm going to build a card with 8 of your favorite locks on the week. Dan, I'm going to build a card with 8 of your favorite locks on the week. And then I'm going to build a card with 8 of my favorite locks. We're going to safety every last one of them. We're going to put $5 in every last one of them. If you guys want to tail 8 of these props, could 100 extra dollar Rooskies. Make sure you use promo code DISCO. Your first bet is on me. It will double your initial deposit dollar for dollar up to $100 Rooskies. Let's roll. We buy homes near you. 512 says Jess activated Kine Nwangu. It's good to know that Kine is there from the practice squad. Not sure if this has anything to do with Breece Hall. Is good to go. It's been said that he's good to go. Should I swap him up for Rashad White this week to be safe or hold? Okay. Breece Hall for Rashad White?
I'm building it. Hang on.
Breece Hall. Listen, they both play at 1 o'clock. I mean, when the news is there, if Breece Hall's out, then you just play Rashad White. They both play at 1 o'clock. You're fine. Rodgers in Green Bay. Man, don't get me started on Aaron Rodgers, please. Like, everybody knows he has a great arm, but like, that's it. He's not a clutch quarterback. He's not a winningest quarterback. He's got a couple MVPs. He has a great arm, but that's about it. Lamar, best cold weather wide receiver in the playoffs is Willie Snead. Give me a break, Lamar.
All right, I got it safety.
That's crazy. How do we feel about Mayfield over 237.5 passing yards? So here's the thing. Carolina gives up a lot of production in terms of
rushing
yardage and rushing, but they don't give up a lot of volume, and that's where Baker really kills people is the volume passing. I think they're going to run all over him, and I think that kind of rules out Baker Mayfield's passing. It's not that it rules it out because it's still a good prop. It's still reachable. It's just not an outlier
everywhere, but it's just tough. Yeah, I agree.
Bucks will run some more on Carolina. Facts, carbonated soup.
Right.
I fucking love that. Ready? Yeah, I'm ready. Talk to me.
Here we go. Here's the big card safety, and I put 5 on it. Marvin Harrison over 50. Puka Nacua over 80. Bryce Young over 206 passing.
1 second.
Oh, okay.
Puka Nacua over his receiving.
81. Yep.
Okay. Bryce.
Bryce Young over the 206.
Okay.
Mixon over 82.5.
Love that.
Justin Jefferson over 83.
Love that as well.
Jonathan Taylor over 79.
Hold on.
I don't really like this one, but you talked me into it. This next one. Ram 2.5 receptions over.
Okay.
And Russell Wilson over the passing.
Ew. That entire game, you want the over on
And
Russell.
Dan is going to apologize to me about Russell Wilson after this week when he drops a 20 bomb.
Dude, look, he can drop a 20 bomb all you want, just like Tua, but he's still going to be the reason they lose, just like Tua was.
That's fine. I'm talking fantasy points. I don't care about the win or the loss.
I'm talking,
All right.
he sucks, and he's the reason why they're going to lose.
Kenneth Walker, Aaron Jones, or Rashad White need one. I think Kenneth Walker has the best matchup out of all of them, to be honest. Well, Rashad White has a great matchup, just doesn't have the volume. I still think he finds the end zone. Or Kenneth Walker against the New York Jets, who have struggled in recent history.
And he's a gash running back.
Yeah, I'm gonna go either Rashad White or Ken Walker here. It really is a toss up. I'm leaning heavier on Kenneth Walker just because of the more volume there. Aaron Jones isn't even an option for me. EB. All right, Dan, give me your 8-piece, bud. Josh Allen over everything.
No, I'm not an idiot. I don't think Josh Allen's going to have a great game. I think that there's no other quarterback in the league that could be in a position to do good with this weather than Josh Allen.
All right, feed me the card. I need a shot.
Brian Thomas Jr., 61.5 receiving yards.
Okay, I'm going to get it up. Okay, got it.
Nico Collins, 86.5 receiving yards.
Okay, got it.
Cameron Dicker, 7.5 kicker points.
Yep.
Dicker the kicker?
He's my kicker one. I like that. Okay.
T. Higgins, 70.5 receiving yards.
Okay.
Chris Boswell, 7.5 kicker points.
Yep.
Cooper Kupp, 70.5 receiving yards.
Okay.
AJ Brown, 88.5 receiving yards.
Why won't AJ Brown show up? He's gone?
It's right here.
Oh, I got it. Okay, 88.5. Okay. Last one.
And then my last one.
Josh Allen.
I'm torn between
Josh Allen rushing or Josh Allen passing.
Tony Pollard. I'm torn between Tony Pollard's rushing and Taylor's rushing. I like Pollard's because it's a little lower.
I like JT a lot. Okay, I'll roll with you. Pollard.
I also like Bucky Irving at 56 a lot. I really was thinking Bucky Irving too.
Yeah, I'd rather take Bucky.
I'm going to swap Bucky over Pollard. Yep.
Yeah, put Bucky in. I'm good with that. I was really want one of those three guys.
Safety it. Okay. Bisco. Let's hear it.
Yeah,
Let's hear the bomber.
Hold on.
Here comes the longest. He knows it. He lives by the longest.
I mean, because I am the longest shit.
Yeah.
His fave pick is Josh Allen building snowman over 1.5 over 3.5 snow angels. Something went wrong. Please try again. What? Okay, we got the entry.
The kicker you should have played, Sean, was on my stream yesterday. Matt Wright gave that away like lightning in a bottle, baby. Money call.
He needs a Lutz, Romo, Cardi, Nick Folk outside of Koo. Lutz?
Yep.
Okay. All right. So Jamar Chase.
Okay. Longest.
You fucking know it.
Here we go. Here we go.
DK Metcalf.
Longest.
You know it.
You know it. Okay. What else?
Nico Collins.
Longest.
You fucking know it.
Oh, dude.
I love
Brian
that
Thomas
one.
Jr.
Longest.
You know it.
Okay. All right. Locked it in.
Okay. Jalen Hurts.
Longest rush.
No.
Passing yards.
Passing yards. Absolutely.
Okay.
I like the Boswell call.
We're gonna ride it on both. Okay. I don't like
Uh,
the Boswell versus Cincy, but I'll roll with it. Okay.
Yeah, I'll take it off because I fucking hate kickers.
Yeah, I don't like that. It's the only time I don't like Boswell is this game.
Okay, I fucking hate kickers anyways. So yeah,
Okay.
I'm good with that.
Jefferson Long?
No.
Okay.
No. I'm Jefferson. I need to see it to believe it. Sorry, I was in
Saquon's
a
receptions.
no.
Okay. You said 2.5 was your favorite lock of it.
Yeah, we already have it on the card. 20.5. Michael Pittman, longest reception.
Michael Pittman versus
Michael
Gonzalez?
Listen, Michael Pittman, longest reception. I like it.
Okay.
That's why we're safetying it.
I'm with it.
Okay. You also didn't like Jacoby Myers yesterday, by the way, and he absolutely fucking smashed.
He did.
Smash.
I did not like him. I just didn't love him. He only had 13 points. That's not a smash. Blow me.
You see, Aiden O'Connell almost had his first rushing yard.
I saw that. Yeah.
It was so close. He had like 9 yards. They took it all away.
Dude, no love for Kyler Murray's passing? Anybody? Okay.
Yeah, I will put that one because he's hit it 3 out of the last 4 weeks. Last week was an outlier. So yeah. And like Vegas has his props at 234.5. So drafters as well under. And then last but not least, there was one I had at the top of my head. And I can't Terry McLaurin, longest reception.
I love that.
22.5. Okay. 5. Safety it.
I put 14 on
Michael Pittman is the one I'm like, oh.
That's why we safety it.
I know.
Tootsie Pop says, what kickers matter too? If you saw how I lost a championship football game here in Canada, if you saw how I lost a championship game, you too would also hate fucking kickers. It was one of the most tragic ways to lose a football game. I remember crying from Hamilton all the way back to Ottawa. It was about a 7-hour drive. I got shit-faced back in the days when I used to drink on the bus ride back, and I just cried the entire time because of the way we lost. So if you knew how we lost because of a kicker, you'd hate kickers too. So yeah. God bless you guys.
All right, wait. Everybody's absolute lock of the week. 1.
Ryan Thomas Jr.
What about it?
Receiving yards or longest reception, either one.
I like receiving yards. Okay. Disco?
I'd stay in the same game. Joe Mixon rushing yards.
Mixon's rushing.
Disco, do you still watch CFL?
Absolutely not.
Okay. I'm going to go with my absolute lock of the week. I said it earlier and I forget because we talked about it so much. Is Kyron's longest rush at 14.5.
Fuck. All right, I don't have any cards with Kyron's longest rush, so I guess I'll make this card because I'm a degenerate.
15 for 90, and that's the last 15.
It's like you made so much money. It's like Disco. You made so much money in the Thursday and Friday DFS slate. Let's just blow it all on Sleezball's bets. We said Brian Thomas Jr. All right, let's do it. 61.5.
I took BTJ, Kyron over the longest, BTJ's receiving yards, and Mixon's rushing yards.
Yeah, I like that. So I got to do a couple DFS lineups tomorrow. Sleaze, are we on your show tomorrow?
Depends on how the night goes. We got so many people here, but yeah, I'll text you.
All right. If I don't hear from you at like 10 a.m. Eastern time, I'm just going to do my own. Dan, let the folks know who you are, where you're from, what you do, and as long as you'll fucking love me. And then Sleaze, you're up, Buttercup, and then we'll rock it.
I'm Dan Neely with NFLDFSPICKS. I live here in Orlando. Lived most of my life in Buffalo. Was 19-year season ticket holder of the Bills. Down here enjoying the warm weather.
Derek, go by Sleezeball. I rub my mind as a weapon fantasy football podcast. 49er fan. We're going to get stopped by the Bills, but watch us upset them. Christian McCaffrey's having his first big day of the season. Light him up. Thanks for having me, Disco. Great show, as always.
All right, folks. Appreciate y'all. Until next time, God bless. Peace. Oh, by the way, guys, sorry, before I let you guys go.
Your cancer thing.
Yes. Christmas Miracle. The link is in the description, guys. The goal is to raise enough money to feed 100 families locally a Christmas dinner. This cause was founded 4 years by a good friend of mine and local police officer, Chris Lalonde, who also is the president of the North Gloucester Giants football organization. This is the team I grew up playing for and once upon a time coached for. It's a cause very near and dear to my heart because once upon a time my family also needed that. The link is in the description, guys. Any and every penny that you donate will go to helping these families and help be a blessing in somebody's lives today, guys. God bless you. God love you. Tell somebody you love them today. And until next time, guys, peace.
See you guys. Thanks.